husband's body was. The door panel had no effect on him and couldn't even break through his defense. She panicked and quickly came over to grab Wu Jiantao's red hand, which had a mark on it. She dragged him into the room with a distressed look and searched through the boxes and cabinets for red oil. Why are you stretching your hand out? With your skills, are you sincere? It's okay, it just hurts a little. Seeing his wife's distressed look, Wu Jiantao felt a little guilty. Well, just now it just felt like his palm was squeezed. If he had used a little more force with his hand, the door would have been broken. Stop working on it, I'm really not in pain anymore. With my current physical condition, it should be the door that's hurting, not my hand. Then why were you in so much pain just now? I just want you to vent your anger, Wu Jiantao said with a smug look on his face, shaking Chen Jun's hand. Okay, don't be angry with me, okay? Alas. Chen Jun felt a chill in his heart and felt goosebumps all over his body. Okay, just don't talk to me like that, and everything else will be fine. You can't stand this, I just added the interjection law. What if I used words like lungia and please? No, please don't do this to me, really. I really can't accept this, it's disgusting. She said seriously, also you must not act like this in front of Daodu and Mayomeo. I don't want your son to have this kind of red lips, white powder, long hair, and earrings. I really can't stand it, and I will never let our son become a boy like that. Okay, I got it. In Wu Jiantao's opinion, he was just joking with her, but he didn't expect his wife to react so strongly. Then you're not angry anymore. You wish. Chen Jun rolled his eyes at him, snorted, turned around to look at the two babies, and ignored him. Hey. Wu Jiantao felt relieved, as long as no one asked him to go to the living room. Next, it's time for the two little ones to have some milk and then be coaxed to sleep. Don't drink too much milk before going to bed. Chen Jun usually feels that it's enough, so she won't give him any more. Eating too much will affect their sleep quality. When they were 6 or 7 months old, Chen Jun was not very careful in this regard. She always let the two little ones eat well before going to bed. As a result, after finally coaxing them to sleep at around 10 o'clock, they woke up and made a fuss before 12 o'clock and even vomited milk. A normal adult will feel uncomfortable in the stomach if he lies down immediately after eating, let alone children. At that time, Chen Jun did not realize the problem and just thought it was the normal crying of the baby at night. Later, Wu Jiantao couldn't stand it anymore and asked his mother. She reminded them not to feed the baby too much before going to bed, which finally solved the problem. Well, the babies waking up at night during that period also affected their cough. Lying on the bed, the two of them snuggled up to each other, each touching their phones and scrolling. This is also the relationship between husband and wife in the new era. They don't have to say a lot or communicate when they are together. Giving each other some quiet and freedom is also a kind of gap in the relationship. It's okay to be close for a while, but don't be close all the time. If you have a marriage like that, either one of you is sick or one of you is pretending. Well, such a relationship without any space between each other would be suffocating, and no one could endure it for long. Just like many couples in love nowadays, after they have established a relationship, sometimes because of inferiority or lack of confidence, they always want to know what the other person is doing and thinking at all times, and this mentality leads to various actions and behaviors, which are specifically manifested in the desire to stick to each other 24 hours a day, and even worse, install eavesdropping or tracking equipment on the other half. Any normal person would not be able to bear these. Chapter 251, there is a situation tilde please subscribe and vote tilde. Oh. Chen Jun, who had just opened her Moments, suddenly saw that her bestie, Li Xiaoshan, had posted a message on Moments that read, "We are getting married." The accompanying picture shows a slender white hand with a rosy glow, and another broad, slightly dark hand with the fingers interlocked, and both of them have rings on their ring fingers. This is. Chen Jun suddenly sat up, his face full of surprise and joy. Look, Xiaoshan and Dawang are in trouble. Oh. Wu Jiantao stretched out his hand inconspicuously and looked at the screen of the phone his wife handed over. He was stunned. My cousin finally proposed successfully. Not bad. Chen Jun rolled her eyes at him delicately, breathing a little hurriedly. This is all thanks to us. This girl has always been so ungrateful for what she has. We can't miss this opportunity just because of our willfulness. As a close friend, she knew that Lai Xiushan had more than one love affair in the past, but they were all from a long time ago. One was in high school and the other was in my freshman year. Both were very nice guys, but unfortunately I was too young to cherish them at that time, and for various reasons we were not able to stay together. No matter what happened in the past, now she finally started to care. I guess she must have proposed to Dawang tonight. Chen Jun chuckled. As a close friend, she immediately guessed what Li Ziaoshan was most likely to do tonight. Although it might be an impulse, she was very likely to do such a thing. Well, this is very Li Ziaoshan. She proposed. Wu Jiantao picked up a grape from the bedside table without peeling it and put it directly into his mouth, feeling the fragrance and softness of the flesh, which melted in his mouth. Hey, this one is much bigger than the last one. Hey, don't eat in beds. Chen Jun blushed, and with a look of reproach on her face, she kicked someone off the bed. Do you eat grapes? He asked, earning a cute eye roll from his wife. The night is getting deeper. Desk, bathroom, bed. What? There will always be wonderful things in life, just like the meeting of the morning sunshine and the light water vapor in the air after a night, which will create a charming light white mist. A hint of dawn just appeared in the eastern sky. In the bedroom, Chen Jun, who was sleeping on the bed, seemed to sense something. His closed eyelids moved slightly, and then the rhythm of his breath, which had just been very long, immediately changed. Husband. She turned over and reached out to touch her side, but found nothing again, just like in the past few days. Not here again. Aren't martial arts competitions usually easy? Why are you so tense? Chen Jun knew, without thinking, that her husband must have come back from jogging and exercising, and was currently standing on the balcony practicing standing meditation. Train hard in the coldest days of winter and the hottest days of summer. This is not just talk, but something we achieve by taking solid steps one step at a time. After lying down and squinting for a while, Chen Jun turned over and sat up. Immediately, her extremely soft eyebrows slightly frowned, and she felt a slight pain in her waist. As her mind gradually cleared, she recalled, maybe I sat too long last night. Especially recently, I have been busy with my work at the Research Institute and have started sitting for long periods of time again. Do restorative yoga in the morning and then do intensive yoga in the afternoon, but be careful not to sit all the time. Sitting for a long time is very harmful. First of all, the waist muscles will maintain a high tension for a long time, causing soreness and pain in the waist, which can easily lead to lumbar muscle strain, cervical spondylosis, and lumbar disc herniation. Secondly, sitting for a long time will also increase the perianal venous pressure, causing hemorrhoids and possibly varicose veins. These have now become standard occupational diseases for researchers like them. For example, in the institute, many seniors have different degrees of lumbar muscle strain and cervical spondylosis, and several even have lumbar disc herniation and varicose veins. However, as Chen Jun learned a lot of knowledge about traditional Chinese medicine from Wu Jiantao, especially moxibustion, she also brought this treatment method to the institute. I have to say that compared to taking medicine or going to the hospital all day, this treatment plan that can be carried out anytime and anywhere is really good. For example, for the problem of low back pain, even if you are alone, you can apply moxibustion on the Hauxi acupoint on the palm of your hand, the two depressions between the second, third, fourth, and fifth metacarpal bones, or the Weizhong acupoint in the center of the inner side of the knee, all of which have very good therapeutic effects. However, it should be pointed out that Chen Jun's case is relatively special. It was mostly because she sat for too long last night. She got up from the bed, went to the closet, and changed into a training suit, then gently stretched her body, and her muscles and bones made a crisp sound. Unconsciously, Chen Jun began to adjust his breathing. As he stretched, his body began to recover, and the slight soreness in his waist disappeared. After all, my physical fitness is now at the amateur second level, which is far beyond the reach of ordinary people. Once the qi and blood in my body are activated, the discomfort will naturally disappear instantly. Coming out of the room, Chen Jun saw her husband, who was standing on the balcony in a stable posture. His body rose and fell slightly as his breath moved his qi and blood. Well, ever since participating in the world's #1 martial arts competition, Wu Jiantao has changed his previous training method. The intensity has more than doubled, and the amount of daily training has increased day by day, constantly breaking through the limits. Just like the sipping Huang he was standing on now, even though he only stood on it for an hour, the difficulty kept increasing. Just like today, he put an apple on his thigh and head respectively, and kept the 3 apples without shaking at all while his body was slightly floating. Even though it's just 3 more apples, the consumption on the body is incomparable to before. The 3 apples do not bring weight, at most they weigh less than 2 kilograms, but they provide a more detailed control over the bones, fascia, muscles, and even strength, qi, and blood of the lower limbs. With more meticulous control, the consumption instantly doubles. Less than 30 minutes later, Wu Jiantao's face flushed slightly, and his breathing became heavier. Even though he can still maintain the standing meditation, He has begun to lose concentration in guiding his inner breath and transporting his qi and blood, and the effect of his practice is almost zero. After letting out a long breath, Wu Jiantao finally took off the 3 apples on his body and put them aside. However, he did not end the standing posture immediately. Instead, he continued to stand for more than 20 minutes. Only then did he successfully complete today's morning practice. Chapter 252, Daodu's Prison Escape Journey. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. After reaching the limit of your body, you can use relatively easy standing meditation to further squeeze out the body's latent strength. In this way, your body's muscles and bones can be tempered most thoroughly, and your strength will naturally improve faster and more steadily. Today was the first time that Wu Jiantao placed 3 apples on himself. Fortunately, he had profound skills and a solid foundation. If it were an ordinary person, the apples would have fallen off his body soon. After calming his breath a little, Wu Jiantao felt tired for the first time in a long time. His feet, hands, waist, and abdomen also felt the long-lost feeling of exhaustion. This kind of practice is a bit intense, so I need to rest for a while today. It also puts a lot of strain on my knees, so I'll have a massage in the afternoon to relieve them. He was thinking whether he should do this kind of practice every 2 or 3 days. He returned to the living room from the balcony and saw his wife stretching out her beautiful body. A look of doting immediately appeared on his face. He bent over and kissed her fair face. Chen Jun immediately opened his eyes and gave him a look of reproach. "Good morning, wife Tilda." Wu Jiantao greeted him with a smile and didn't make any other moves like he did last night. He turned around and walked towards the kitchen. The soy milk blender had just been made in the morning. He poured it into a large glass, cleaned the blender, and put it back into the cabinet next to him. He was busy in the kitchen while humming a song. But at this moment, Wu Jiantao seemed to sense something and turned his head suddenly. But he saw a little guy standing far away at the door, holding the door frame, with a pair of big eyes like stars in the universe, looking at him curiously. "Daddy." When he opened his mouth, some saliva remained, which flowed across the front of his shirt and fell to the ground. "Huh, Daodu, why did you get up so early today?" Wu Jiantao came over immediately and picked up the little guy. Apparently she had woken up on her own, climbed out of her crib, and followed the smell of breakfast. "Huh." Chen Jun in the living room heard the noise and no longer cared about his morning practice, so he got up and came over. "Sister, how did you get down from the crib? Didn't you fall? You know, the guardrail of the baby's bed is more than 1 meter high from the ground. If the baby flips over the guardrail, the baby's butt will be broken into pieces. If the baby accidentally hits the head, it can even be very dangerous." Chen Jun came over quickly and carefully checked the little sister in her father's arms. Well, her little head was fine, and there was no bulge in the front or back. How did she manage to roll out of the crib without falling or getting hurt? The couple looked at each other, somewhat confused. Carrying their sister back to the bedroom, they discovered that the baby's bed, which was originally a little far from the bed, actually had a corner leaning against the edge of the bed. "This can't be true." Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun turned to look at each other in astonishment and saw the surprise on each other's faces. Originally, the baby bed was against the edge of the bed, but the 2 little ones are older now and have strong climbing abilities, so they can climb directly onto the bed. For example, when my sister was a little over 11 months old, she couldn't walk yet, but she could use her hands and feet to crawl from the crib to the bed. Soon after, my brother saw it and followed suit and did the same thing. All I can say is, as expected of the Wu family, which is a family that has passed down martial arts, these 2 little ones have quite good athletic talent, especially the younger sister Daodu, who is definitely at the level of an extraordinary talent. Since then, the beds for the 2 little ones were no longer against the edge of the big bed, but were pushed away a little distant. And now, one corner of the baby's bed is actually next to the edge of the big bed. Suddenly, the couple looked at Daodu with suspicion. Daodu was smiling happily with innocent eyes in his arms. "Wait a minute, I'll put her back and see how she does it." Immediately, Wu Jiantao curiously put his sister in the crib, then put the crib back to its original position. Finally, he and his wife went to the gate and stood there watching. Back in the crib with a fence, Daodu's big eyes showed a hint of doubt. He turned to look at his parents at the door and called them a few times. "Come here, come to mommy." Chen Jun stood far away and waved to the little guy. The little sister, who was always very active, took action immediately. She came to one side of the baby's bed, stretched her short legs through the gap in the fence, and just touched the ground and scratched it twice, and then the corner of the small bed touched the edge of the big bed. Then she pulled her feet back, stood up, walked to the corner of the fence next to the big bed, and climbed up in no time. Seeing this, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun, who was taking pictures with his mobile phone, were stunned. Is this little head so smart? Now the little guy has successfully climbed onto the bed, but there is still a problem. That is. Although her short legs could reach out from the gap in the crib fence and touch the ground, she couldn't do that on the big bed. The bed was about 50 centimeters above the ground, so her short legs definitely couldn't touch the ground when she got down from the bed. So how did she get down from the bed? Just as the couple at the door were looking curious, they saw Dowdu come to the edge of the bed, then turned his back, stepped off the bed with both feet, and then slid down little by little, carefully and very slowly. Chen Jun, Wu Jiangtao. Finally, her two little feet touched the ground, and her upper body, which was still lying on the edge of the bed, immediately stood up. She loosened her hands, turned around, and ran towards the door happily, still shouting, "Daddy" and "Mommy." Oh my, our Dowdu is so awesome. He was able to escape from the crib on his own. So awesome. Wu Jiantao was amazed. He felt that he would definitely not be able to do this when he was 1 year old. When he grew up, his mother also talked about many interesting things when he was very young, but none of them could compare to his sister Dowdu's feat today. What's so great about it? Chen Jun rolled her eyes at her husband in reproach. At the same time, she felt a headache. How could the little guy have such ability? This means that the scope of her activities began to become uncertain. If this happens again and the two adults are not around her, she might run around the house and fall or get hurt. She might spill hot water and get scalded, or even knock over something heavy and get knocked down. These things are just trivial to adults, but for a baby who is just 1 week old, each one of them is very dangerous. Chapter 253, New Troubles. Please subscribe and vote for me Tilda. Wu Jiantao beside him smiled heartlessly. Xiao Dowdu is really amazing. Daddy gives you a thumbs up. It's amazing. Chen Jun rolled his eyes at him and asked, "Can you keep watching her?" Oh. He was slightly stunned, then he realized the problem. Yes, even if adults can always watch them, there is always a time to walk away. What if the little ones fall and bump into something while climbing up and down? Even though this is at home, for a 1-year-old baby, there are very dangerous things everywhere, such as the clothes hanger in the room. If the baby goes over and pulls the clothes hanging on it, the whole clothes hanger may fall down and hit the baby, which is very dangerous. Hearing Chen Jun's concerns, Wu Jiantao couldn't help but frown slightly. It's okay. We'll clean up some of the more dangerous things in the house later. Walking into the room, he touched some of the sharper edges on the table, wardrobe, and chairs. For corners like these that may cause them harm, wrap them with soft sponges. There are also some objects that are easy to fall from heights. They must be placed carefully to prevent them from pulling and hitting their heads. As he spoke, Wu Jiantao reached out and scratched the little nose of Dowdu in his arms. The little guy was stunned for a moment, shook his little head, and gave his father a very happy smile. Oh, right. Chen Jun seemed to have thought of something. I think we can set up an area in the living room where Dowdu and Mio can play freely. We can put mats on the floor and put various toys and sponge balls on it. We can even make it look like a small castle. Oh. Wu Jiantao was stunned at first, but then he understood his wife's intention and said, in this case, in a situation like just now, neither brother Mio nor sister Dowdu would run around the house and touch things. They would definitely run here first. In this way, the various unexpected and dangerous actions of the two little guys can be minimized to the maximum extent. As long as there is such an area for playing and running, it will be very attractive to babies, and they will not run around the house or even run to the kitchen. Okay, that's settled then. Back in the living room, Wu Jiantao walked around the room and pointed to an area near the balcony. It's relatively empty here. Let's move the sofa to the other side and decorate it. Pointed at this place and said excitedly, I want to make a bigger play area for Dowdu and Mio. The height of our house is nearly 3 meters, so we can make full use of the space and arrange it into 2 floors. We can put a slide against the wall and divide it into 2 floors. The lower floor should have a small door, and the upper floor should have a small window. Oh, by the way, the fence of the slide from here down should be higher, and we have to be careful that the baby doesn't fall out of the slide. Okay. Listening to what her husband said, Chen Jun also laughed. Just follow your idea. You can ask someone to design it. I remember there is a whole house customization company outside our community. They should be able to design and arrange this kind of living room. Wu Jiantao smiled and said, we'll go over and ask later. Breakfast first, breakfast first. Seeing his excited expression, Chen Jun shook her head with amusement. Give Dowdu to me, I'll feed him first. Well, my morning practice session this morning was wasted. Well, I will make up for it in the afternoon. No matter how big the matter is, nothing is more important than 2 babies. After a while, the brother woke up. compared with his sister who quietly escaped from the crib and ran out of the room to find mom and dad. Zio Mio Mio cried out loudly and successfully attracted mom and dad to come. What? Although Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun tried their best to avoid comparing the brother and sister, the two little ones' completely different reactions and behaviors when they woke up in the morning still made them feel very interesting. Compared to his sister, the brother's behavior may just be driven by instinct. It's not smart, but it saves effort. The breakfast for the two little guys is simple. They just need to lie in their mother's warm arms and drink milk. After breakfast, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun couldn't wait to walk out of the house, out of the community, to the commercial street outside, and came to the Whole House Customization brand chain store. Welcome to Xiaofu Whole House Customization. Seeing the family of four coming directly in from outside, a female clerk immediately realized that they were customers and hurriedly came forward to greet them warmly. Hello, how can I help you? Wu Jiantao looked around the store and saw that there were all kinds of home furniture and home decorations inside. Let me take a look first. He did not state his purpose right away. He and Chen Jun pushed the two little ones around their store. The clerk followed them and did not ask them about their needs too eagerly. Instead, he introduced their products and services in a proper manner. When I walked into the store, I found that their store was actually quite special. Walking from the lobby to the inside, there were many model rooms with very stylish and beautiful decoration styles. Well, there are study rooms, bedrooms, children's rooms, and even kitchens. Although the designs they have in 903 are also very good, these home designs in the store are very pleasing to the eye. Oh, you mean, you want to design an area in the living room for the two babies to play? Right. As he spoke, Wu Jiantao took out his mobile phone and showed the photos of the living room he had taken before going out, and even a video. Wow, your living room is so beautiful. The clerk who saw the appearance of their living room immediately exclaimed in admiration. At the same time, he also realized that the two extremely young couple in front of him were capable. After confirming Wu Jiantao's needs, the clerk found a designer from the office area on the second floor of the store. Regarding the design of the baby play area in the living room, the art designer must communicate well with Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun, determine their requirements, and then proceed with the design. What I just said about making full use of the space and dividing it into 2 floors is actually not a hard requirement. It's just my own idea. If you have a better design, you can also design your own idea. Perhaps you can draw a rendering according to my requirements, or you can design 1 or 2 more renderings according to your own ideas. If it's very good, you can just use your design. Chapter 254, I am lazy, and I need to subscribe and vote for you Tilda. The most important thing is that the overall design must be smooth and soft, and there must not be any sharp edges or corners, otherwise the baby will easily bump into it. Ensuring the baby's safety is fundamental. Wu Jiantao concluded. Okay, I see what you mean. The female designer touched her chin and nodded. Well, I will make a version according to your requirements, and then I will make another version myself. Then Mr. Wu and your wife can choose from them. If they are not satisfied with either, then we will redesign it. What do you think? Okay, let's make sure of this first. Wu Jiantao was quite straightforward. He signed a preliminary contract directly with the female clerk who received him and paid a deposit. Well, the female clerk just said it very clearly. Only when the designer and the couple have finalized the design drawings and it is meaningless will they formally sign the customization contract, and then they will need to pay the subsequent fees. If the subsequent service fails to meet their expectations due to the design, the deposit will not be refunded. Of course, if the problem is indeed with their store during the service process, then the deposit will definitely be refunded depending on the circumstances. Of course, this situation rarely occurs. When signing the preliminary intention contract and paying the deposit, the female clerk explained in detail some sensitive issues in the cooperation process to Wu Jiantao and his wife, and Wu Jiantao nodded. Fine. From the service details, we can see that the other party is worthy of being a chain brand. The service is very thoughtful, especially in terms of various matters involving contracts, keeping up with the pace of China's increasingly popular civil code. Soon this week passed. In order to balance his work at M University and the Security Bureau team, Wu Jiantao communicated with the team leaders and creatively integrated the 2 jobs together. Well, the above sentence was just nice to say. He was just being lazy. In order to save his working time, he directly brought those seed students of the martial arts department of M University to the seminar on his team. It's not about asking them to join the seminar, but just letting them come and listen, see the world, and feel the true master's understanding of various aspects of martial arts. Captain Yuan Huang had no objection to this, as long as these little guys did not affect the normal work of the team. Moreover, the leaders of the security department were quite supportive of this. After all, these students were also the seeds of future martial arts geniuses. They would definitely become full-strength warriors in the future, and might even become star masters. Let alone star-level masters, even professional-level warriors of whole energy are extremely scarce. They are talents. Let them feel the spirit of the Security Bureau here. When they graduate from university and become successful in martial arts, there is a high probability that they will be recruited to the Security Bureau. As for M University, they would rather Wu Jiantao take their students to participate more times, and they would have no objections. Originally, Wu Jiantao's work was only for 2 days a week, but he managed to arrange it for only 1 day. And all parties were surprisingly very satisfied. This operation is quite cool. The students were also very satisfied. This trip to the Security Bureau's team seminar not only inspired their understanding and improvement in martial arts, but more importantly, it touched and infected them with the spiritual demeanor of their predecessors. From this point of view, this is also the core of why China has been able to be continuously passed down for 5,000 years, and various traditional cultures have been able to continue to develop and promote through the efforts of generation after generation. Inheritance is not just talk. It is said that every generation has talented people who lead the trend for hundreds of years. After the team seminar, the students were smart and took the opportunity to ask Wu Jiantao about some bottlenecks and doubts they encountered during their martial arts training. After he answered their questions, he also asked his colleagues in the team to share their respective insights and experiences. At around 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, Wu Jiantao completed the work for the week perfectly. He sent the students back to M University and went home feeling relaxed. "What? Are you back?" At home, Chen Jun, who had just finished working on a project at the Research Institute, came out of the study room, stretching lazily, and saw a look of surprise on her husband's face. Oh, by the way, Xiao Su, the designer of Xiaofu Whole House Customization, sent me 2 design layouts for the baby playhouse in the living room. So soon. Wu Jiantao was a little surprised. He had thought that he would not be able to see the design drawings until next week. After all, today was the weekend. Obviously, the other party is working overtime. Now except for some special industries, whether it is a large group company or a small enterprise, the maximum working time is no more than 40 hours a week, 5 days a week. The blessings of 7 and 996 are no longer there. Let's take a look together later. By the way, where's the baby? Still sleeping. The couple went to the bedroom and looked at the 2 little ones. Well, they were sleeping soundly. How long have you been sleeping? I slept until just after 3 o'clock. Chen Jun glanced at the time on his phone. It's almost 6 o'clock, and it's been nearly 3 hours. It's time to wake them up. Daodu Miao tilde wake up tilde. Don't let them sleep too long in the afternoon, otherwise it will affect their sleep time at night and the baby's schedule for the next day. Although the daily routines of the 2 little ones are very different from those of adults, they have begun to become regular. As parents, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun have long been accustomed to it. If you accidentally affect your baby's daily routine, the changes will not be sporadic, but will bring about a chain reaction. Daodu and Miao were not very happy when they were woken up from their sleep, but they were soon attracted by the granary coming towards them and ate happily. How was the baby this afternoon? Didn't he make any noise? Wu Jiantao went out at around 9 this morning and has only just returned from work. He asked about the situation in the morning when he was having lunch outside at noon. At that time, he was thinking that if his wife couldn't take care of it, he would rush back to help and then go back to the security department before work in the afternoon. However, Chen Jun said that the 2 little guys were very well behaved in the morning and did not make any noise, so he told them not to come back. Only then did he give up. The 2 little ones had some milk at around 5 o'clock, and for dinner they only had a 6-cent bowl of nutritious porridge, plus a little fruit puree. After dinner, the couple took the 2 little ones out for a walk downstairs, letting them stroll around the community square to release some energy, so that they could sleep better after 9 o'clock in the evening. Chapter 255. Design. Please subscribe and vote. In the courtyard of the residential area downstairs, Daodu and Miao were walking unsteadily. Many adults and children passing by couldn't help but pay attention to the 2 little guys. Wow, what a cute little baby. A little girl who looked about 7 or 8 years old ran over, squatted beside her sister Daodu, and looked at her with a smile. Auntie, what's the little sister's name? Dowdus, you can call her little Dowdu. This is my brother, Mio Mio. The mother of the little girl behind them smiled at Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun and said hello. From a distance, she reminded them to take good care of their little sister and not let her fall. I know. The little girl responded without turning her head and carefully reached out to hold Xiaodoudu's chubby little hand. The younger sister Dowdu looked at the older sister, who was much taller than her, with some curiosity, and let her hold her hand, not afraid of strangers at all. Oops. Suddenly, the little girl screamed in pain and quickly withdrew her hand. It hurts. Are you okay? Chen Jun asked quickly. Oh, it's okay. The baby is so strong. The little girl was very surprised. It's not that she's strong, but her nails are thin. It will hurt when she grabs you, so be careful and don't put your face close to her, otherwise you'll get scratched easily. Chen Jun reminded her seriously. Okay, I understand, Tilda. The little girl nodded sensibly and reached out to hold her sister's hand again. This time she avoided the fingertips of the chubby little hand and was not pinched by her thin nails again. Come, sister, we'll hold your hand and walk with. By the way, she also wanted to hold Mio Mio's hand, but compared to her sister, this brother didn't give her any face at all. He turned around and threw himself into his mother's arms, not wanting to let this stranger touch him. The little girl was stunned. This cute little brother seems to dislike himself very much. She couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Chen Jun covered her mouth and smiled. Brother Mio Mio doesn't like strangers to touch him. Only acquaintances can get close to him. It's strange to say, when she was a few months old, it was the little sister who was afraid of strangers, but now it's the big brother who is afraid of strangers. After walking in the community square for about half an hour, the two kids said goodbye to the young lady, and Chen Jun and Wu Jiangtao led them back. When I arrived at the edge of the square, I saw an old woman sitting on the ground, her face covered with her hands. Her expression was completely invisible, her arms resting on her knees, sitting there quietly. If Wu Jiangtao hadn't reminded him, Chen Jun almost didn't see anyone. When he first saw them, he was even more frightened. He subconsciously grabbed Dowdu and Mio Mio, who were walking in front of him. What's happening? She turned her head and looked at her husband, only to see that he was also frowning. Although the road was not dark because of the street lights, it was easy for ordinary people to overlook the old woman. This sudden thing can really scare people. Well, Wu Jiangtao hesitated for a moment, unsure whether he should go up and ask her. I wonder what she is going through, a difficult and lonely old age. Her husband left her. Children neglecting filial piety. Why is the situation of old age always associated with tragedy? Social responsibility. When the couple was hesitating, they saw the old man opened his hands that were covering his face and shouted, Are you hiding? I'm going to turn back. Wu Jiangtao, Chen Jun, Dowdu and Mio Mio in front of them didn't pay attention to this side. They waved their hands and continued to walk forward happily. After walking a short distance, the elder brother noticed that his parents didn't follow him, so he stopped and looked back. Mom, Dads. He felt a little uneasy and immediately turned around and walked back. Only my younger sister is still moving forward heartlessly. After looking at the old woman speechlessly, Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun hurriedly followed and held their sister's hand to prevent her from running around. Sister, aren't you afraid of not being able to find your parents? Chen Jun couldn't help but say something to Dowdu. Giggle. The little guy just looked at his mother and smiled happily. Back at 9:03, the two little guys fell asleep less than 10 minutes after being put on the bed. It seems that the half-hour walk downstairs at night was quite exhausting for them. Immediately, Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun went to the study, turned on the computer, and began to look at the two versions of the living room game house design sent by the designer. The one in the front was designed according to his idea. It is divided into 2 floors, with a slide attached to the back wall. The overall style is simple and soft, which is very close to Wu Jiangtao's idea of a game house. It's very good. If he hadn't seen another version, he would have wanted to finalize this design right away. After discussing with Chen Jun, we decided that apart from some details that need to be adjusted, the overall design does not require any major changes. The designer has fully considered the overall style of the living room. The overall design style of this game house is in line with the large living room, and it does not look out of place when embedded in it. The other party was quite capable and took the style of their living room into consideration very well. After reading this edition, Wu Jiangtao turned to read the second edition. This is. They were both stunned to see that the overall design of the second version was very interesting. Although it also had 2 layers, the designer showed them not only the overall effect of the exterior, but also an interior space. In terms of overall design, this is actually an interesting maze space design, with a spiral slide from the second floor to the bottom. The entrance to the first floor is also the exit. There is also an area below the first floor where you can put ocean balls, where children can play. I think this design is great. Chen Jun's eyes lit up. Although the appearance is not as beautiful as the first version, it is obviously because of the unique design of the interior space. I think this maze-like interior design is very helpful in cultivating the baby's sense of direction and logical thinking. What do you think? I think it's still the first version. Well, Wu Jiantao refuted subconsciously, feeling a little unconvinced. The first version of the design I conceived is obviously better looking, more impressive, and more fun than the second version. Well, if we talk about fun, it seems a little. Seeing his wife glaring at him in reproach, Wu Jiantao immediately changed his words. Not really. Well, my idea is indeed not very comparable to the second edition. This maze is great. Not only can it help cultivate children. That's about right. Soon, the couple reached a very loving consensus and ordered the second version of the game house. Chapter 256, Who Are You? Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. After deciding to use the second version for the game house, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun sat in the study for a while before returning to the bedroom. Why do you always? Chen Jun's face was red, her breath was a little hurried, and she stretched out her hand to pinch her husband's waist repeatedly with some hatred. Well, this is a later settlement. What is that? Wu Jiantao also felt aggrieved. I am the refrigerator and you are the ice cream. Isn't this normal? Oh. Chen Jun didn't quite understand. What do you mean? It's like this, the refrigerator and ice cream are boyfriend and girlfriend. One day they had a fight, and ice cream ran away from home. Later, she found herself melting, so she hurried back. The refrigerator said. He leaned close to his wife's ear and whispered in a low voice what he meant by the refrigerator. Jump up. Chen Jun's originally slightly flushed face suddenly turned red, and she reached out to twist the soft flesh on her husband's waist even harder. You're a hooligan, a pervert. That sentence was extremely destructive to her. After all, she just cough, cough, cough. Now the two who had taken a shower in the evening had to take another shower. After all, they were so sweaty. Lying on the bed, the couple sat next to each other, each holding up their mobile phones, scrolling through them boredly while chatting. By the way, since Xiaoshan and Dahuang have decided to get married, has she told you when the wedding will be held? Wu Jiangtao asked. No, she's still choosing a date. She said it will be no later than this year's spring festival. Wu Jiantao nodded, but today I saw what she said in her circle of friends. This is my territory and I am the boss. No one can interfere with me. What's going on? This is her family affair. I can't say much. Chen Jun thought about it and finally decided not to tell Wu Jiangtao. After all, he was also considered a family member on Yuan Huang's side. Well, Li Xiaoshan and Yuan Huang were in love, and her family knew about it. They even brought her home to meet her parents. Although the sudden announcement of marriage was very sudden and unexpected, the girl's parents and family elders were very happy. They wanted to make it more grand and insisted on holding an engagement ceremony for her first. After witnessing the troubles Chen Jun went through when she got married, Li Xiaoshan still has lingering fears about this extremely cumbersome and troublesome wedding. As a person born after 1995, she, like most of her peers, hates the troubles brought by various traditional customs. In the eyes of the new generation of young people who have grown up, life has always been their own, especially when it comes to major life events like marriage. They feel that this is their own business, and there is no need to live it for others to see, and there is no need to make such a big fanfare to announce it to the world. Is it troublesome? I don't live my life for others to see. For this reason, she simply rejected her parents' idea of holding an engagement ceremony. Then, the gossipy aunts and uncles in the family popped up one after another in the WeChat group. Among them, the second aunt told her earnestly as a person who had experienced it that marriage is a major event in life, and what is needed is a sense of ceremony. Li Xiaoshan was speechless. I haven't been back home many times this year. I haven't seen some of these relatives for several years. They are not even Li Xiaoshan's WeChat friends, but here comes something interesting. In the WeChat group, they knew everything about how long she and Yuan Huang had been in love, and even what job Yuan Huang did and what kind of boy he was. Li Xiaoshan didn't know how other people would feel if this happened to them, but she felt uneasy anyway. There is a feeling that makes the hair stand on end. She did not respond to the relatives' concerns in the group, but immediately sent a private message to her parents on WeChat, asking them how they knew about her situation. As for Lee's parents, they vaguely remembered that it was her second aunt who came to visit them, and they casually said something. Well, their daughter found such an outstanding boyfriend, so they were naturally proud of it. As for why all the relatives in the group knew about it. Isn't this normal? Lee's father and mother thought she was making a fuss out of nothing. We are all relatives, so what's wrong with her caring about you? Of course, not all relatives in the group are like this. It's mainly Lee Xiaoshen's second aunt. Seeing her enthusiastic look, Lee Xiaoshen knew it with her butt that it must be her credit that everyone knew their situation so well. Naturally, she also complained about this matter to Chen Jun, Bai Xiaoyuan and other close friends in the group about her weird second aunt. Ever since she was admitted to M University and became the most outstanding young person of this generation in the Li family, her relatives have been particularly concerned about her situation. It was only after she entered college that she gradually realized that there was something wrong with this kind of concern. It was not until her senior year, during the past 2 or 3 years since she started working as an intern at the Research Institute, that Lee Xiaoshen, who had experienced a lot and had begun to understand the ways of the world, truly understood some people and some things. Every time we get together, they always keep asking about my recent situation, like a surveillance camera. Yes, ever since she started working, Lee Xiaoshen, who is approaching her 30s and is not in a relationship and is busy with work, has become the focus of all the elders in the Lee family. At the dinner table, they would keep talking about who got married and had a big fat boy, or which of her cousins married a rich man. They would make all kinds of comparisons, and would also ask about all her private matters indirectly, exposing her privacy to all her relatives. The looks they gave her made her feel disgusted. The purpose of their gossiping and constantly questioning her was to let Li Xiaoshen know that it was no use for you to be so outstanding and have such a good job, but you still couldn't get married and ended up being left alone. When she lives a better life than them, they smile with a fake smile, and only when she lives a bad life do they truly relax. In particular, some of them did not care about her at all, but instead made various comparisons between her and others to satisfy their own vanity. Chen Jun also felt the same way. There was a similar situation in the Chen family, but it was not as serious as Li Xiaoshen. This time, Li Xiaoshen did not indulge her second aunt anymore, and directly criticized her harshly in the family group. First of all, thank you all for your concern. Regarding the fact that I told my parents that I would not get engaged, it's actually very simple. I just hate trouble because it will delay my work. Secondly, my second aunt just said that although work is important, life events are more important. You need to have a sense of ceremony so that you won't regret it when you are old. Actually, my work in the institute is a national confidential project. Yes, it is indeed not more important than my marriage, but it is more important than my wedding ceremony. Why do I want to keep everything simple? One is that I am really afraid of trouble, and the other is because of my work. Are these 2 reasons enough? Finally, my work, my love, my marriage. That's between me and my boyfriend, me and my parents. I appreciate everyone's blessings and concern. Thank you. After saying this, she immediately left the family group. Chapter 257, Trouble Please, Subscribe and Vote. The next day, Wu Jiantao learned about the conflict between Li Xiaoshen and her family through his cousin. After such a scene in the family group yesterday, and seeing that their daughter was not getting the point across, Li's father and mother actually called Yuan Huang last night and had a good conversation with him. They talked a lot, and in short, they wanted to hold an engagement ceremony for their daughter first, and then a grand wedding. But Yuan Huang was also in a difficult situation. After all, Li Xiaoshen's attitude was very clear. Although Li's father didn't say it directly, his words implied that, "I only have this one daughter, you can handle it yourself." This attitude, this meaning, I just want him to persuade Li Xiaoshen. Another one is, last night Li Xiaoshen's second aunt added his WeChat. Well, it was his future father-in-law who pushed his WeChat to his second aunt and asked him not to tell Li Xiaoshen about this. I have to say, her second aunt was pretty capable. After adding her on WeChat, she apologized to Yuan Huang first, saying that she had no intention of interfering too much in their marriage. She also said that she only reminded Li's father and mother about this matter after hearing that they were going to get married so suddenly. It was they who decided to hold an engagement ceremony for their daughter. He also said that none of these are important. What is important is your marriage. After going around in circles, Li Xiaoshen's second aunt finally came back to whether they should hold an engagement ceremony, what exactly this engagement ceremony means to the woman, and that engagement ceremonies are still quite important in Province C, because engagements are usually organized by the woman's family. He also said that although the Lee family was not a wealthy family, they must be very clear about marrying off their daughter. When it comes to traditional etiquette, it is not a question of choice or avoidance, but a question of ability. In other words, our Lee family is no weaker than others. Today, despite the rapid changes in the world, many traditions are still preserved, such as the betrothal gifts and engagements in the past. In fact, these are several procedures specially set up before women become independent in order to protect women from being bullied in the man's family. The more rigorous the procedures are, the more they can prove that the woman's man's family is valued, and the higher the woman's sense of security will naturally be. Of course, on the other hand, in ancient times, etiquette was the highest order, and the most polite people must be the most powerful people in the local area. This is also the ultimate test of the manpower, material, and financial resources of the man's family. This is the same reason why wealthy families today hold grand wedding ceremonies. Even now, except in first and second-tier cities, many women have not achieved economic independence. Especially in many rural areas, marriage means being separated from production and having to rely on men economically, which causes women to have a very low sense of security. Therefore, only through repeated procedures before marriage can a man's ability and sincerity be tested relatively truly. To put it bluntly, this is a disguised consideration of the weaker party. If you feel that you are not in a disadvantaged position, if you pursue gender equality, and if you have absolute trust in men, then it goes without saying whether engagement is necessary. As for Lee Zioashin, at first I didn't want to hold an engagement ceremony simply because I didn't want the hassle, but now, well, why do I feel more and more uncomfortable the more I think about it? Do I, Lee Zioashin, need to hold this engagement ceremony to show off? Or is this the kind of appearance you need? Lee Zioashin also made these thoughts very clear to her boyfriend. If she didn't want to do it, she wouldn't do it. It was obviously a trivial matter. The most important thing is that Yuan Huang has now become the person caught between Lee Zioashin and Lee's father and mother. On this side, I don't want to bother with the trouble and don't want to hold an engagement ceremony. On the other side, I only have one daughter, so it's up to you to find a good son-in-law. Well, as for why he came here at 9:03 this morning, it was not mainly to find Wu Jiangtao, but Chen Jun. Now her parents hope that I can convince Lee Zioashin, but I don't know how to tell her about this. Yuan Huang looked at Chen Jun with a wry smile. I'm not afraid that she will lose her temper with me, but I don't want her to continue to have conflicts with her family because of this matter. You also know her temper. What? After learning about this, Chen Jun, her best friend, couldn't help but frown. It's true, if Yuan Huang tells Lee Zioashin about this, with her temper, who knows what kind of trouble she will cause. They discussed it over and over again, but in the end they still couldn't figure out how to tell this to Lee Zioashin. She was not stupid. No matter whether Chen Jun or Yuan Huang told her about it, she would definitely guess that it was her parents who did it, and she would definitely go directly to them. Right now, the most important thing is not to further intensify the conflict, but to find ways to resolve it. How about? Chen Jun thought about it again and said, why not get Zhao Ouyuan to come along and give some ideas? More people means more ideas. She knows something about this matter. Maybe she has a good idea. Okay. Yuan Huang naturally had no objection. As promised, she immediately sent a WeChat video call to Bai Zhao Ouyuan. What's wrong? Soon, Bai Zhao Ouyuan from the Research Institute appeared in front of the camera wearing work clothes. There is something I need your help with. Chen Jun didn't waste any words and told her everything about Yuan Huang's difficulties. Forehead. Bai Zhao Ouyuan was speechless after hearing this, but she could understand. The biggest difference between dating and getting married is that the former is a matter between two people, while the latter is a matter between two families. Just like she and Lu Zhou had already reached the time of discussing marriage, they also had a lot of unpleasantness because of some things that were obviously not very important. Fortunately, she was magnanimous and did not keep dwelling on it. Let me think about it. After thinking about it carefully, she shook her head and said, I think this matter is not a question of how to tell her, but a question of whether Dawang can tell her. Upon hearing this, Yuan Huang was stunned, while Chen Jun seemed to be thinking about something. After all, you and our Zioashin have only been in love for a short time, not even a year, right? Although you are already talking about marriage, you two should not quarrel at this critical moment because of this matter. It's a good thing you came to ask us. If you were rash enough to tell Zioashin directly, she might have a big fight with you and say that you have no opinion. Moreover, based on my experience, once such a conflict occurs, many things that affect your relationship will happen one after another. Having been in a long-term relationship with Lu Zhou for many years, she had experienced too many similar situations. Bai Zhaoyuan did not continue to say the rest of the words, but the meaning was already very clear. On the other end of the phone, Yu Wenhuang was sweating, and his face was full of relief. Chapter 258, Noisy, please subscribe and vote tilde. That's right. Although what Bai Zhaoyuan said later had a bit of quantum mechanics flavor, once many things develop in a negative direction, they often cause a chain reaction. This is what is called, good fortune never comes alone, and misfortune never comes alone. From this perspective, this matter is actually very easy to resolve on your side. You just need to remember one rule of conduct, which is not to affect the relationship between you and Zhaoshan. As for how to do it specifically, actually, there is very little we can do to help you. 903 on this side, Chen Jun looked at her best friend on the other end of the phone with some surprise. Okay. Why are you looking at me like that? Seeing her eyes, Bai Zhaoyuan on the opposite side rolled her eyes at her best friend. Hey, nothing much. I just didn't expect you to have this side of you when it comes to these things. Heh, Bai Zhaoyuan shook her head and said self-deprecatingly. In fact, this is also a deep experience for me. I'm an experienced person. I'll have to ask you for more advice in the future. At this moment, a familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. Please help me. What do you want to ask? Whoosh. However, Bai Zhaoyuan's camera suddenly shook, and the camera instantly spun around. The three of them could still see two hands trying to grab the phone in the air several times, but they finally caught it in time, almost preventing it from falling to the ground. What are you doing? You scared me to death. Bai Zhaoyuan's voice was heard, and then with a beep, the video call was turned off by her. It's Zhaoshan. Wu Jiantao and the other two looked at each other. Yu Wenhuang said anxiously, she wouldn't have heard it, would she? Probably not. Chen Jun thought back to the tone of Li Zhaoshan's words just now. It was quite normal. If she had heard their conversation with Bai Zhaoyuan just now, she wouldn't have been so natural based on her temper. What? At the Research Institute. Heh, I caught you, didn't I? You heard everything. What else? Li Zhaoshan glanced at her. Zhaoshan, regarding this matter, I think you should talk to your family and don't make a big fuss. After all, your parents are doing this for your own good. Bai Zhaoyuan didn't know how to persuade her at the moment, so she could only say this in a dry voice. Okay, I get it. I won't have a falling out with my parents over this, or even affect my relationship with Dawang. Not really, you're overthinking it. Li Zhaoshan looked at her bestie. I know you and Zhaoshan are doing this for my own good. Thank you. After taking a closer look at her and making sure that she was not angry about what happened just now, Bai Zhaoyuan smiled with relief. What are you thanking me for? We are best friends. No matter what difficulties you encounter, don't fight them alone, just come to me. Okay, just don't think I'm troublesome then. What? Life is like this. It is inevitable to encounter some troubles and quarrels. In fact, regarding her engagement ceremony, the reason behind it all was that the Li family didn't want the Yuan family to look down on their precious daughter. After understanding this, why would Li Zhaoshan be angry? So she called home and talked to her parents. Well, there was no quarrel, but they calmly said that the engagement ceremony could be held, but it had to be held together with the wedding. In fact, it is just a wedding with one more process, but this time the man no longer pays for the money and the people, but the woman also pays half. Naturally, Li's parents would not have any other opinions. After all, this would not affect their daughter's work at the Research Institute, so everyone was happy. As for the Yuan family, different places have different customs. Since the Li family needs it, they will not have any objections. Everything is based on the wishes of these two young people. This is the difference between marrying off a daughter and marrying off a daughter-in-law. No matter in the past or in the present, no matter if they are poor or rich. As long as it is a marriage of a daughter, the girl's family will always be twisted, especially the parents, who will feel mixed emotions at this time. As a child, I thought I would always be loved by my parents. But in fact, the relationship between parents and children begins to undergo subtle changes after their children get married, especially when their daughters get married. In any case, this troublesome matter was finally resolved satisfactorily. In the evening, when talking about this matter, Wu Jiantao was a little puzzled at first. He couldn't understand the behavior of Li Zhaoshan's parents. However, Chen Jun only said one sentence, which made him feel uncomfortable. You are also a father now, and you also have a daughter. Put yourself in her shoes and think about it. When Dang Daodu grows up, she will also fall in love with someone, fall in love, and eventually get married. What? At this moment, Wu Jiantao was dazed, feeling sad and reluctant, as well as indescribable depression. Especially for a daughter like me, who married far away. Chen Jun smiled and said calmly, when I was working before, he rarely called me, but since I married you last year, no matter how busy he is, he will video call me at least once a week, saying that he wants to see Daodu and Mayome. In fact, I know he just wants to see me. He is worried that I have been wronged and am not doing well. Perhaps because they are both fathers at this moment, Wu Jiantao truly and deeply understood the feelings of Dad Chen, who missed his daughter thousands of miles away. I'm sorry I didn't know all this. He looked at his wife's face with some heartache. The smile that was calm but slightly sad, he quickly hugged her in his arms. There's nothing to be sorry about. Chen Jun shook his head gently. This is my choice. Although she said so, her eyes were already red as she buried herself in her husband's arms. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Wu Jiantao changed the subject. There is a professor from the Chinese Studies Department of M University in our homeowners group. He started a community for reading classics in the group, saying that both adults and children can participate. Didn't you say before that you would read classics to the babies? You can participate in this. I will participate too. I'd wear. Chen Jun quickly stood up and looked at the announcement sent in the owners group with him. Well, sure, I think this is pretty good. Okay, let's do some relay. As he was speaking, Wu Jiantao had just clicked to join the chain, when suddenly, someone in the owners group appeared and sent two messages. Voice and sound. At Green Energy Building Materials Lao Lu, are you the owner of 603? Sound and voice, can you two pay attention to the impact? The noise is too loud and we can't sleep. Mr. Lu from Green Energy Building Materials. Lao Lu from Green Energy Building Materials. I am working overtime at the company. Green Energy Building Materials Lao Lu. Exclusive red packet. Lao Lu from Green Energy Building Materials. Brother, take the money and help me block the door. I will be back soon. Voice, no need for red envelopes. Don't worry, not even a mosquito will fly out before you come back. Wu Jiantao. Chen Jun. Chapter 259 Trouble. Please subscribe and vote tilde. What is this? Wu Jiantao felt that if WeChat came up with an interesting feature that could display in real time how many people were online secretly spying on the group, then almost all the owners in the group would definitely be online at this time. In the past, they were too far away from all the explosive gossip in the entertainment industry. This is the first time they have encountered the gossip around them now. The chat log was also captured by some people who were curious about the situation. At the same time, some people asked someone to find out that the owner, nicknamed Old Lu of Green Energy Building Materials, was in building number 8. They all went to the balcony, picked up their Huawei phones, and pointed their 50x zoom lenses at 603 on the 6th floor of building number 8. Facts have proved that Chinese people are still very keen on eating melons. Soon, the owner of room 603 in building 8 came back, and the sounds of roaring, smashing, and quarreling could be clearly heard from there. At 9:03, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun joined the classic reading community in the homeowners group, then put down their phones and lay down on the bed to prepare for sleep, not paying any more attention to this farce. However, some people in the community who run self-media and make TikTok short videos heard the news and took action. Some of them just stood on their balconies and looked over here, or at most took pictures with their mobile phones. There were also several people who ran directly to the downstairs of building number 6 and took pictures there. For a moment, there was all kinds of noise outside, but Wu Jiantao was a warrior with amazing 5 senses. Even if he had no intention of listening, all kinds of noises still involuntarily entered his mind. Oh my God, he climbed out of the windowsill. This is the 6th floor. Be careful, it's dangerous. Quick, call the police. We can't do this. If we continue like this, someone will die. Ah, mommy, why is he standing outside in just his underwear? Doesn't he look like Superman? When did you come out, you little brat? Go back to your room and go to sleep right now. It's already past 10 o'clock. If you can't get up tomorrow morning, I'll beat you up. Among the onlookers, there were some owners who did not pay attention to the owner group and had no idea what was going on and looked confused. However, this situation, even if you use your toes to think, you will know that this is bound to be an environmental farce. Hey, pull the person in first before you fight. Are you going to, don't move or you might fall down. What's wrong with that person in the window? It would be fine if he didn't pull him in, but why did he stick a stick out and hit him? Oh my God, I almost fell down. Go up and save them. The whole neighborhood became more and more lively. People from several nearby buildings were trying to persuade the owner of room 603 in building 6 not to be so stupid. If he really forced the adulterer to jump off the building, this was the 6th floor. Even if he didn't die, he would be disabled. Then the owner would definitely be breaking the law, and the crime would not be light. The noise outside was getting louder and louder. Wu Jiantao on the bed finally lost his appetite and got up suddenly. Something happened, I'll go check it out. Chen Jun on the bed was almost asleep and responded in a daze. This room has a good soundproofing effect. Only masters at Wu Jiantao's level can hear it keenly. Ordinary people like Chen Jun can't hear the noise outside at all. Wu Jiantao quickly changed into a dark-colored sportswear and went straight to the balcony of his bedroom. He looked in the direction of building number 6, only to see a muscular man wearing only a pair of underwear standing on the air conditioner outside a window sill on the 6th floor. Well, that body of tendons, the upper body is a perfect inverted triangle. The legs are also long, and the figure is very good. Wu Jiantao on the balcony could see clearly that this guy should be a fitness enthusiast. Although he had a good figure, his muscles were trained too much and his body bones were very stiff. The key point was that he was obviously very strong, but at this moment he was so cowardly that he could only shrink on the air conditioner outside the windowsill, allowing his mistress's husband to stretch out a baseball bat from the window and hit him on the head. The husband had obviously collapsed. He yelled and madly hit the adulterer with a baseball bat, especially hitting his head. Later, his wife tried to hold her husband back, but she couldn't. Here, Wu Jiantao saw the owner's action in the window. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he jumped from the balcony without thinking. Whoosh! At this moment, everyone nearby was paying attention to Building 6. No one noticed that a figure in Building 11 suddenly jumped out from the 9th floor and turned into an extremely swift black shadow. It jumped back and forth between Building 11 and Building 12, which were very close to each other, and went downstairs at an astonishing speed. Almost at the same time, from the window on the 6th floor of building number 6, the baseball bat hit the adulterer's knee heavily. Lord! He cried out in pain, his feet slipped, and his whole body tilted involuntarily. Lord! He fell. Oh my God! Help! Finally, the voice came from the adulterer. He reached out and plucked at the air conditioner in vain, but he caught nothing and fell out. With the help of gravity, he began his last accelerated sprint downwards. This time and the feeling just now, they are not the same. At this time, Wu Jiantao had already landed. He looked up at the figure who had just fallen out of the window sill on the other side of building number 6 and unleashed all his strength without reservation. Tread! The floor tiles burst under his feet instantly, and he turned into a black shadow that was so fast that it was difficult to see clearly, and headed towards building number 6. Fortunately, the numbers of the buildings in their community were not arranged linearly, but staggered. Building number 11, where Wu Jiantao was located, was not far from building number 6 in a straight line. The next moment, Wu Jiantao, who had arrived at the bottom of building number 6, stepped suddenly and jumped high in an instant. With one hand, he made a semicircular movement and gently pushed the man who just fell in front of him. Zwesh! The two figures, one black and one white, separated as soon as they touched each other. The adulterer only felt a flash before his eyes, and then he found that his originally falling momentum had turned into flying horizontally. The guy flew sideways and hit the crown of a big tree. The dense leaves and rough branches left blood marks on his face and body. Bang, boom, cracks. Lord! In the end, he was hung directly on the tree, with no idea how many bones were broken, but he was still very energetic and let out a shrill scream that echoed throughout the entire community. Well, this guy's underwear was just taken away by a sharp branch. Yes, taken away from the front. As for that place, it was cut vertically. Just listen to this guy's screams now, and you will know. It hurts a lot. Chapter 260, Calm Down. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. It was not until this moment that the onlookers at the bottom of Building 6, who were filming the 6th floor with their mobile phones, finally realized. Something seemed to have passed by us just now. Well, several of them are self-media, and one of them even started a live broadcast. They looked at each other, feeling uneasy. No, it's just that a strong wind suddenly blew past us just now. No, I really seem to hear footsteps, very fast footsteps. Just as they were looking around in horror, someone nearby finally arrived nearby. As they passed by them, they shouted angrily, "Help, come and help. What are you guys, just standing there like idiots?" No, there's a ghost here. The guy who was broadcasting the live broadcast responded from a distance, his face full of fear. The man who ran over here was eager to save people and did not stop, but he couldn't help but turned around and looked at them in astonishment. These people, are you crazy? Forget it, he didn't have time to pay attention to these crazy people. He and a few enthusiastic people worked together to rescue the bloody man from the tree. When they came down from the tree, these people were not professional rescuers after all, so the strength they used was inevitably not enough. which made the guy scream in pain, especially the vital part below, which was bleeding profusely. Stop the bleeding quickly, wrap it up. How do I wrap it? Several grown men looked at the wound that was bleeding and discussed with frowns. The man who was in so much pain, they were so ashamed that he actually tried to sit up with difficulty. They were all stunned and rushed over to push him back down to lie down again. Don't move, don't move. You fell from such a high place. Even though you are hanging on the tree, you must have serious internal injuries. The man was ashamed and angry and gritted his teeth and said, "No, I didn't. Someone just saved me." At this moment, he also reacted. There must be a very strong martial arts master in this community who jumped up and pushed him when he was about to fall to the ground. Only then could he change from falling to flying sideways. The fatal collision with the ground was converted into the current non-fatal injury. However, I'm bleeding there, so it's pretty serious. After listening to him, these guys looked confused. You didn't nothing. Were we the ones who saved you? No, just now someone pushed me in mid-air, so I didn't fall to the ground and fell into the tree. Believe me, someone really saved me just now. Yes, yes, please lie down first. The ambulance will be here soon. We will help you wrap it up first. These enthusiastic people looked amused and speechless. They didn't believe what this guy said at all. They were just discussing how to stop the bleeding here. It would definitely not be okay to bleed like this. One of the uncles was looking at this place and suddenly turned around and shouted to the crowd standing far away, "Who has a rope? It doesn't have to be too long, a thin one." An old lady who was standing far away like everyone else immediately turned around and went home, and soon brought back a shoelace that she usually used to tie things together. "Okay, thank you." Taking the rope, the uncle stepped forward and started to fight. "Hold on, I'll stop the bleeding for you." "Okay, done." Once it was tied, the blood that kept oozing out stopped immediately. He stood up, exhaled a breath, and nodded with great satisfaction. Fortunately, the root was not scratched, otherwise it would be really difficult to deal with. Several buddies around him. "Wait a minute, hey, can you please not tie a bow here this?" "Lord." The man lying on the ground felt even more pain and screamed. After a while of commotion, the ambulance and police car finally arrived at the scene. "Get out of the way. Let's go, there's nothing to see." The police from the nearby police station came to the crowd and said, "Everyone go back. You still have to go to work tomorrow. Don't gather here." Soon, the owner of room 603 in building number 6 and his wife were also brought down from upstairs by the police. By the way, the clothes and mobile phone of the adulterer lying on the ground, scattered in the kitchen, living room, bathroom, and bedroom of room 603 were also taken down. When the police came to the victim with a mobile phone, well, let's say I unlocked my phone in front of the victim and was about to contact his family. I also saw the unique bow, and then I stood here with the doctors and nurses in silence for a while. We are all professionals, we are all professionals, we are all professionals. A policeman held his stomach tightly, almost unable to hold it in, and finally managed to suppress the laughing gas that was twitching and protesting and about to burst out. This is called professionalism. Hello, I need to unlock your phone and contact your family. Don't cry if you cry. You can't even unlock your phone. Puff. One of the female nurses couldn't help but turn around, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. After simple treatment of the injuries, the medical staff lifted the person onto a stretcher, put him in the ambulance, and left in a hurry. Wu Jiantao did not see or know about these, as he had already returned to his home. As soon as he came back, he drank a large glass of water in the living room and then exhaled a long breath. Before he almost jumped down the stairs, and then ran to the other side to rescue the man at the speed of 8 steps to catch a cicada. Because time was too tight, Wu Jiantao almost exhausted all his strength in the whole process, resulting in his entire body being sore and swollen after relaxing. Especially when he just walked back, the internal energy in his body was released, and his body immediately sweated nonstop, and he was very thirsty. In the situation just now, an ordinary person could only watch from afar and exclaim, but for a master like him, although it was a little more laborious, there was a very high possibility that he could save the other person, so he acted without hesitation. Fortunately, although the process was urgent, no accidents occurred, and under the cover of night, no one at the scene witnessed his presence. But the police officers at the garrison will definitely find something wrong during the subsequent inquiries, and then check the surveillance footage. Chapter 261 is completed. Please subscribe and vote . Thinking of this, Wu Jiantao took out his mobile phone and called his cousin directly to report the matter to him. "So it was you just now. Okay, I got it. I'll talk to the police station and downplay the matter so as not to expose the fact that you were the one who saved the person. Okay, trouble. Okay, why are you being so polite? I'm hanging up. Yu and Huang on the opposite side cursed with a smile. What? The installation of the baby playhouse in the living room was much faster than Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun had expected. 3 installation workers brought up the materials via the freight elevator and then dismantled the outsourced installation of the playhouse. It took only a little over half an hour to complete the installation. Very efficient. After the installation, they were very considerate and cleaned the living room, packed up the remaining garbage, and took it away to the trash can downstairs. I have to say that this brand chain's whole house customization service is really good. After the installation, the overall effect and look are good. The designer added a bit of playfulness and cuteness to the overall style of the game house. At the same time, the color scheme also perfectly matches the Chinese style of the living room. Wu Jiangtao and Chen Jun were both very satisfied. Hey, what's going on at home? The day after the game house was installed, Wu Ma came and was surprised to see the game house in the living room. This is for the baby to play with. Wu Jiangtao took some mountain products and a slaughtered old duck that his mother brought from her hometown and said with a smile, not bad, it looks good. Chen Jun, who was playing in the playroom with her 2 babies in the living room, stood up and greeted her mother-in-law with a smile. Mom. Hey, Tilda. Wu Ma responded to her with a smile and also came over to the playhouse. Outside was a circle of soft, small fences with ocean balls of various colors placed inside. Inside was a small round house. It didn't look big from the outside, but when she bent down slightly and passed through the small door, she found that an adult could stand up inside. The space was surprisingly large. At this time, the 2 little babies were walking around the house with curiosity on their faces, touching and looking at things here and there, looking very curious. Well, the younger sister Daodu had already climbed up the small stairs to the 2nd floor. The older brother Miao looked at her curiously from below, but did not follow her. Instead, he turned around and threw himself into Wu Ma's arms. Grandma Tilda. In Wu Jiangtao's hometown, people call their grandmother Grandma or Ama. Little Miao, Grandma is here Tilda. Mother Wu smiled so hard that her eyes became blurred. She held the little one in her arms and rubbed him nonstop, but Zhao Miao reached out her hand with a clear goal and touched the box of toys in her arms. Chen Jun, who was standing next to him, couldn't help laughing. It turned out that he didn't follow his sister up to the 2nd floor because he saw something fun. Wu Ma pretended to be angry and pulled back the toy box she had brought. It turns out that you don't love Grandma. You love the toy in her hand. I won't give it to you. Grandma. The little guy couldn't get it and got a little anxious, so he stuck to Wu Ma's arms and acted like a spoiled brat. When I took the toy apart, I saw a large disc with a small hole on it and 2 small hammers. Whack-a-mole, come, let Grandma teach you. The witch mother picked up a small hammer and installed batteries in the toy. Then the hamsters on the big disc began to pop out one after another. Come on, smash it. She immediately took a small hammer and hit the heads of the gophers that kept popping up. Zhao Miao on the opposite side followed suit and laughed while playing. Daodu was still on the 2nd floor of the toy house. He had already walked to the small door and was looking at the slide with curiosity. There was no fear on his face. Daodu, you are too young to slide like this. Come here, mommy holds you. Seeing that she wanted to move forward, Chen Jun hurried forward to pick up the little girl, but it was too late. She saw her staggeringly taking a step forward. What a guy, she didn't even try. Wow! Chen Jun exclaimed and rushed forward to grab her. Almost at the same time, Wu Ma on the next level moved, almost teleporting to the outside, looked at the little guy on the slide, and then stopped. Fine. The next moment, the little guy was seen swaying above the slide, but instead of falling forward, he sat back on his butt and slid down. Wow. The little guy was obviously a little frightened by the shaking just now, but as he slid down, his tearful face suddenly changed again. Glug, glug, glug. Chen Jun went over to take a look and found that everything was fine. However, her sister Daodu got up nonchalantly and ran into the 1st floor of the playhouse with excitement on her face. Sister, what do you want to do? Come, play whack-a-mole with your brother. The little girl pretended not to hear the adults' voices and continued to climb to the 2nd floor of the playhouse. This time she learned her lesson and did not slide down directly. Instead, she squatted down at the door and slid down for the 2nd time. Zwesh! Daodu was so happy that he danced with joy and stood up to go back into the game room. While the 2 little guys were having fun, their dad, who was carrying food from the kitchen to the dining room, called out from afar, "It's time to eat. Daodu Miao, let's go eat something delicious. Come on, Daddy made a delicious lunch." Chen Jun and Wu Ma moved immediately and came over to hold the two babies. However, the noise started to happen, and both the sister and the brother were unhappy. One of them held on to the stairs from the first floor to the second floor of the playhouse, and the other held on to the toy plate for whack-a-mole. I don't want it. It has been just over a week, and the two little guys have already started to develop their own tempers. No matter how many times Chen Jun and Wu Ma talked to them, or how much they tempted and persuaded them, they didn't want to go over to eat and only wanted to stay here and play. No matter whether it was brother Myomio or sister Daudu, once they were forcibly carried to the restaurant, they started to flutter and howl. This posture and this tossing energy. They are not little angels at all. They are clearly two little devils. At this moment, Chen Jun felt that it was a mistake to have such a game house at home. She was really going to be pissed off to death by these two little bastards. Forget it. If they want to keep it for fun, then let them keep it. We'll eat it ourselves. Wu Ma thought for a moment and came up with a plan. She said something to Chen Jun and gave her a wink. But Chen Jun was really irritated by the two babies' willfulness. She didn't see the look her mother-in-law gave her, and she was still a little angry. This will only make them more willful. Mother Wu looked at her with some surprise, and then she realized that her daughter-in-law seemed to have some strong emotional reaction to the baby's affairs, which was very different from her usual calm and intelligent self. Chapter 262, Making Trouble. Please subscribe and give me a monthly ticket, Tilda. It's okay, I have a solution. Come, let's come over here first, and I'll make them sit at the table and eat. Chen Jun was still a little conflicted, but Wu Ma didn't give her the chance to get mad at the two little ones and pulled her to sit down in the restaurant. But Mom, the mother still wanted to go back and bring the two babies over for lunch, but Wu Ma smiled and patted her shoulder. It's okay, just look at me. After saying that, she stood up and got a large bowl of nutritious porridge, and then got a bowl for each of the two little ones. Well, what I made today is mushroom and lean meat porridge. I also added a little corn kernels and small pieces of carrots to it. It was stewed until it was soft and sticky, and it has a rich aroma that makes people drool just by smelling it. Mother Wu came to the living room with the 3 bowls of porridge. The rich aroma of the porridge spread immediately, even to the playhouse. However, the two little guys were having fun and were very focused. They didn't seem to smell the smell in the air at all. In the restaurant, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun didn't care about eating. They just wanted to see how she would solve the problem of the two little guys not eating. They just wanted to play with this. Oh, it smells so good. Wu Ma was sitting on the sofa in the living room, making some noises to try to attract the two babies' attention. Unfortunately, both brother Myomio and sister Daudu just turned their heads to glance at her, then turned their heads back to concentrate on playing with their own things. Wu Ma, this reaction is not right. In the past, when my son Little Pudding ordered something, as long as there was a little smell of food at home, he would definitely come over to ask for food out of greed. I just don't believe it. Carrying her bowl of porridge, Wu Ma went straight into the game house and sat down. Pulling a small stool over and sitting down, she deliberately stirred the porridge with a spoon. The steaming porridge rice mixed with the aroma of meat and mushrooms became even richer. At this moment, the two little babies finally noticed her. The older brother, who was playing whack-a-mole nearby, put down his toy first, turned around and came over. Then Daudu, who had just come down from the slide outside, also came over with his short legs. Wu Ma pretended not to see them. She deliberately scooped up a spoonful of porridge and blew it in front of them, blowing the aroma of the porridge into their faces. When Daudu and Myomio thought that the spoonful of fragrant porridge would be stuffed into their mouths, Wu Ma fed the spoonful of rice into her own mouth instead. Tilda, it's delicious. Ah, Tilda, Grandma. Grandma, Tilda. The two little guys were immediately overwhelmed with greed and came over closely, grabbing Wu Ma's hands with their hands and calling out in various ways. They just couldn't express themselves clearly, but the eagerness on their faces and various body movements had already expressed their desire to eat. Mock up. I can't cure you yet. Wu Ma smiled and stretched out her hand, picked them both up with one hand, and held the porridge in front of them with the other hand. At this moment, their 2 pairs of dark, black eyes were staring at the bowl of porridge in front of them without blinking. There was no trace of the energy they had just had. Chen Jun came over in time and took away the little Daudu, who was twisting in Wu Ma's arms and trying to get closer for a bite. Call. No matter what, the 2 little guys have finally put aside their playfulness and are now able to sit in the baby chairs in the restaurant and start eating. Hand each of the 2 babies a small ladle of soup and let them learn to feed themselves. At the same time, Chen Jun and Wu Ma also fed them separately. It was Wu Ma who suggested giving them a ladle, and letting them follow the adults in imitating how to beat the rice and eat it. Although Dowdu and Mayomeo mostly just splashed the rice and porridge all over the place, it seemed more like they were playing than eating. But this is also a process for children to learn fine-tuned movements, and it cannot be avoided. Seeing them mess up the small dining table in front of the baby chair and even the floor, and sometimes even accidentally stepping on the porridge on the floor, Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao would feel their heads throbbing and their hands itching. But that's what children are. There was no other way. Although Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun were a little bit impatient, they still had to accept this fact and think positively. During today's feeding, Wu Ma deliberately asked Chen Jun to feed slowly like herself, and the two little guys were just aroused by their greed. Seeing that their mother and grandma were feeding so slowly, they couldn't help but scoop porridge and feed themselves. Although their movements were poorly controlled, and a lot of the rice that the two little guys scooped up with the ladle spilled onto the dining table, Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao were very happy. It's good enough if the baby is willing to eat and can do it by himself. There's no need to demand anything more. With practice like this, I estimate that in a month or two, the two little ones should be able to eat well on their own. As for whether babies will not like to eat, Wu Jiantao is very confident. With his cooking skills, he can even make a nutritious porridge, so he is not afraid that they will not like to eat. After dinner, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun cleaned up the restaurant and took the two little ones to the bedroom, ready for them to take a nap. The two babies should have started to doze off in the afternoon, but this afternoon they were acting out of character. Not only did they not sleep, they also kept trying to get out of their cribs. When Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao put them back, they would get out again, and when they were put back, they would get out again. Well, now that they are a little older, they can roll out of the crib directly without the help of the big bed. In the end, the couple could only let the two little ones flip out of the crib and see where they would go. Sure enough, the brother and sister had the same goal, which was the game house in the living room. I suddenly feel that setting up such a game house, maybe it was a mistake. Chen Jun couldn't help but cover his forehead and complained. That's fine, let's just let them play for a while. Wu Jiantao yawned sleepily, leaned back on the sofa, and closed his eyes to rest, unable to resist the sleepiness. If you feel sleepy, go to your room and take a nap. I'll watch over them. Chen Jun saw her husband like this and said something. When she woke up in the morning, she discovered that her husband did not get up to do the morning practice, but was sleeping in for the first time ever. She was surprised and asked him about it, only to find out that he had consumed a lot of energy running upstairs and downstairs to save people last night, which led to this situation. Wu Jiantao did not refuse. He turned around and went back to the bedroom, lay down on the bed in a Tibetan yoga pose, and fell into a deep sleep. During the lunch break, he vaguely felt that not long after, the two little ones were carried back to the bedroom from the playhouse by Chen Jun, and it was time for their lunch break. Chapter 263, A Heart Blow. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Faintly, he heard his sister Dowdu crying. It seemed that she wanted to go out to play, but her mother wouldn't let her. The loss of last night was really great for Wu Jiantao. He slept particularly long during the lunch break in the afternoon. Even when the two little ones woke up, he was still sleeping. The two little guys sat on the bed, each holding a small hammer, and they surrounded the little mole that kept popping its head out of the disc. Chen Jun, who was accompanying them, frowned, stood up and went to the bathroom, and said to the two little guys, "Have fun, don't disturb Daddy." Chen Jun, who had temporarily left to take a shower, would have been fine if she hadn't mentioned her father, but when she mentioned it, the sister who was playing tackling mole with her brother immediately turned her head and looked at her father, who was sleeping soundly on the bed beside her. "Daddy." The little guy still held the small hammer in his right hand, came over, pulled the blanket covering his father's belly with his left hand, lifted it up and lay down. I don't seem to be sleepy." Her brother was still playing whack-a-mole. She couldn't help but sit up when she heard the noise, wanting to crawl over and play with her brother again. Suddenly, the little girl lowered her head as if she had discovered something. She stared at a strange spot on her father's body. It looks like a little gopher. She tilted her head and looked at it for a while, then waved the little hammer with her chubby little hands. Boom! This hammer hits accurately. Oh no, it's a heart-wrenching blow. Gah! Wu Jiantao let out a shrill cry instantly and couldn't help but cover his vital parts with his hands. He curled up on the bed like a cooked shrimp. What's wrong? Chen Jun, who was in the bathroom, washed his hands in a hurry and came out, complaining in his heart that I was just leaving for a while, and you couldn't even relieve yourself in peace. But when she saw the situation on the bed, she was very confused. What's happening? She quickly came to her husband and helped him up with both hands. What's wrong with you? Where are you hurt? Kang Kang. Forehead. Wu Jiantao held his hands tightly, but still couldn't recover. The blow from the hammer just now concentrated the pain deep in his soul. It is impossible to describe it in words. What are you doing? After finally catching his breath, he couldn't hold back his anger anymore and said something to Xiao Daodu. Daodu, who was originally thinking about helping his dad to kill a little hamster, was very happy when he was attacked. He was stunned at first, then his mouth flattened down, and his eyes turned red instantly. Lord. The little guy started crying as soon as he said crying, and tears as big as beans flowed directly from the corners of his eyes. Oh, don't cry, don't cry. Chen Jun quickly came over and hugged Xiao Daodu, comforting her. At the same time, she angrily slapped her husband. What are you doing? Xiao Daodu is ignorant, it's not intentional. What do you mean by ignorant? She almost killed me just now. Chen Jun, who was coaxing Xiao Daodu, said. Wu Jiantao was still gasping for breath and covering his vital parts. It's terrible, I feel weak, and there's still some pain. He quickly got up and went to the bathroom. Chen Jun was still confused. What on earth was going on? What did you do to Dad? Why did you make him so angry? She asked. But little Jiahu didn't understand at all and stopped crying. He turned around and smiled at his brother, waving the small hammer and continuing to hit the gopher heads that kept popping out of the disc. After a while, Wu Jiantao came out of the bathroom with a gloomy face. What happened? Chen Jun said to her husband in a grudge. Xiao Daodu is still so young. What can I do to you? You are so weird and mean to me. Why? Wu Jiantao was speechless for a moment. It was really embarrassing to talk about such fundamental matters. What exactly is going on? Chen Jun was a little speechless. A grown man is hesitating. I told you not to laugh. If you don't want to say it, forget it. With a cold face, Wu Jiantao finally told what had just happened. Chen Jun was stunned for a moment, turned around and looked at Xiao Daodu blankly, then covered her stomach and trembled all over, and silently collapsed on the bed. She was really struggling to hold back her laughter. Only those who have held back know. After all, people are not professionals. Wu Jiantao's face fell over there, and Chen Jun looked at his speechless face and finally couldn't help but burst out laughing. Even Daodu and Maomio next to them were infected by their mother's laughter and started laughing so hard that they fell down. Wu Jiantao. It's just abominable. After a while, Chen Jun finally stopped laughing and supported himself to sit up on the bed. Who can you blame for this? Who made you unable to sleep peacefully and always thinking about such rogue things? Come on, it's normal for a man to try his best to recover after falling asleep, okay? It's a normal physiological phenomenon. Wu Jiantao gave her a sidelong glance. Well, at this moment, his lovely wife's face was flushed with smile, and she looked so bright and charming. Seeing this, his index finger moved, and then he felt a slight pain, and a conflicted look appeared on his face again. Buff! Chen Jun saw it clearly, and couldn't help laughing out loud with a gloating look on his face. I said that's enough. Chen Jun cried out, then fell on the bed laughing again. Wow! Wu Jiantao became furious and pounced on him with a strange cry. What are you doing? The baby is here. There's a quilt. What? Naturally, this guy's evil deeds still failed to be accomplished. Chen Jun blushed and kicked him under the bed. Wu Jiantao got up from the floor with an unhappy face, went to the closet to change clothes, and said angrily, just wait and see how I deal with you tonight. Such a harsh remark was met with a mocking remark from his wife. Haha, I think your daughter's knock is not enough. You should knock her more. What? You have such a cruel heart. Wu Jiantao looked very sick. When he turned his head to look over, his eyes were full of resentment, which made Chen Jun burst out laughing again. I will remember your dark history for the rest of my life. Ha 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 ha. In a blink of an eye, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Except for a dull pain in certain places, Wu Jiantao slept very comfortably during his afternoon nap. He felt that his body had almost recovered. Well, the main reason for his quick recovery was the magical effect of tantric yoga. In addition, he could also feel that the strength in his body had improved a lot, and he had a vague feeling of being more comfortable in mastering the details of the harmony of his strength. Very good. Chapter 264, Challenge. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Wu Jiantao had long anticipated the improvement in his skills. Think about the tense situation last night. The human body can often stimulate its potential to perform extraordinary bursts. This kind of inspiration can enable a warrior to break through his current bottleneck and may even bring more benefits than a duel with equals. The second challenge of the world's #1 martial arts competition preliminaries is here. If the first round was still open to the participating warriors, there would be a lot of room for choice, but the second round was not so easy, and half of the places were eliminated at once. For many participating warriors who lacked self-confidence, the second challenge of the preliminaries would become difficult to choose. The most important thing is that every warrior who wants to continue to participate should log in to the official website of the event as soon as possible to choose the challenge object. Otherwise, the event officials will arrange it directly. Wu Jiantao did not log into the official website to make an appointment for himself, but directly went to the official website to designate a challenge for a Taekwondo master from Hangguo. After choosing last week, he thought he would need to go to Hangguo in person to compete with his opponent. Unexpectedly, the opponent simply admitted defeat the next day. In response to this, the media in Han Country reported on it for several days, saying something like, "Our Han Country Taekwondo martial saint is invincible. This time, he just suffered a relapse of his old injury and needs to recuperate. Our Li Min Ho is the martial saint of our Daehan Republic. He was a martial artist in the last martial arts competition. He only needs to win 2 games in the preliminaries to enter the main competition. Come on, Li Min Ho Kun. We believe you will recover soon and lead our Han Country martial arts to the top of the world." For a while, Li Min Ho's martial arts fans in Hangguo were extremely active on the internet. Many of them even went to the Chinese internet and left messages on the official Weibo account of the world's #1 martial arts competition at Wu Jiantao telling him that you are so lucky because our Li Min Ho's old injury recurred this time. Otherwise, you would have been eliminated in the second round of the world's #1 martial arts competition, and so on. Wu Jiantao seldom paid attention to Weibo, but this time he was participating in the world's #1 martial arts competition. According to the official requirements of the competition, he had to forward some information about the competition. He saw the various comments made by Hangguo netizens at him on Weibo, which made him confused. But he just read it and didn't even reply. He just forwarded the official event of the event and closed his Weibo. If Wu Jiantao had not participated in this world #1 martial arts competition, he wouldn't even have the Weibo app installed on his phone. Well, the main reason is that he doesn't have a good impression of this platform. That's right, whether it was when Chen Jun was online, or when he was attacked online and became popular, this platform was the main channel. Although there were some groundless slanders and rumors against the 2 babies, the official platform did not take any action and allowed the situation to develop. It was not until Mr. Mo sued those big Vs who jumped up and down that the rumors on this platform subsided. This platform that only cares about traffic and eyeballs, and its seemingly objective and fair attitude, makes every victim of the public opinion storm feel the most uncomfortable. It takes only one mouth to spread a rumor, but it takes a lot of effort to refute it. Personal abilities are limited. At that time, Wu Jiantao did not have the time or energy to complain one after another. If he had that time, he would have been better off managing his emotions and living a good life. Because of the world's #1 martial arts competition, Wu Jiantao's life has become more turbulent. During these days, when he and Chen Jun were taking their 2 children for a walk in the neighborhood downstairs, young men and women, and even children, would often run up to him with pens and paper to ask for his autograph and encourage him to cheer for them to make it to the round-robin tournament. Entering the cycle of the world's #1 martial arts competition has been the obsession of domestic martial arts fans for the 3 years since this event was held. This is a bit like the World Cup in football. As for the Chinese men's football team, well, let's not talk about it, but unlike the football world, it is generally believed in the country that the domestic martial arts world has not yet truly developed. Any martial arts fan with a little knowledge knows that the real masters of the Chinese martial arts world are in the military and police system. This year, even the National Guard agencies across the country sent teams to participate in the Martial Arts A-Class League, and some even made it directly into the main tournament. Domestic martial arts fans were all cheering and full of anticipation. The competition process of the world's #1 martial arts tournament is divided into the preliminaries, the main elimination rounds, and the final round-robin qualifying rounds. The round-robin tournament is a round-robin tournament among 8 warriors. Each person will play 7 games separately. The warrior with the most wins will be ranked first. The warrior who wins the title of #1 in the world for the first time will face the challenge of the warrior who ranks first in the round-robin tournament in the next session. In the first 3 rounds of the world's #1 ranking competition, warriors from Han and Wying countries had entered the competition, but unfortunately they ranked very low. Just like Hangyu's Lee Min-ho, who made it into the last round-robin tournament but was beaten 0-7 by a top player, losing all 7 games. Yes, when the world's top martial arts competition entered the round-robin stage, the competition became extremely cruel. Although there were even 2 martial arts masters acting as referees at the competition site, ready to intervene at any time to prevent any unexpected situations from occurring during the competition. Within only 3 competitions, there were 3 serious injuries that nearly resulted in death. For example, the reason why Hangyu's Lee Min-ho performed so badly in the last round-robin tournament was not because he was weak, but because he met a master from the United States in the first match who was extremely ferocious and aimed at the vital points with every move. He suffered serious injuries in the first encounter, which affected all his subsequent round-robin tournaments. And this fighting master from the United States is also the famous #1 master in the United States, Hope King Garcia, nicknamed King Kong. This man is 2 meters and 15 centimeters tall, very strong and with well-developed muscles. From a distance, he looks like a small mountain. Most people would feel very pressured just standing next to him. The most important thing is that his skills are not at all clumsy because he is too tall. It's just that his small movements are a little bit worse, but his explosive power and speed are amazing, far exceeding the level of Chinese martial artists. This person is mentioned because the third warrior, challenged by Wu Jiantao, is related to him. Alex Bill Garcia. He is a fighting genius who emerged in the United States in the past 2 years. He is from the same family as King Kong. He is 2 meters 10 meters tall and is less than 20 years old, but his physique is similar to that of his cousin King Kong. In the past 2 years, he has won several runner-up titles in the top Western fighting competitions, and his momentum of rising is very fierce. The United States has a high opinion of him and believes that he will inherit his cousin King Kong's fighting status in the United States in the next few years and carry the banner of martial arts in the United States. Chapter 265. Sao Operation. Please subscribe and vote tilde. This was Bill's first time participating in the #1 martial arts competition. He hadn't thought about challenging the masters from the East so early, but right after the second challenge match last weekend, he immediately received an official notification that a martial artist from the East had challenged him. The most interesting thing was that the location of the challenge match sent by the other party was, damn, it's not in the United States, but in Q City, M Province in southern China. He knew Huaxia, but he had never heard of M Province. As for Q City, what kind of place is that? Are the people there simple and honest? Don't wait until I get there. Any ordinary person can just pull out a gun and point it at me. When Bill saw the address written on the challenge letter, he was a little confused, and it took him a while to react. Wait a minute. Is it possible to challenge the world's best martial arts competition like this? Issue a challenge, and then write the address of the challenger in the challenge letter. Shouldn't the challenger take the initiative to come to where the challenged is? Is there such an operation? For this reason, he specifically asked the official of the event and received a reply that the other party's actions did not violate the relevant regulations. At the end, he said, "Who told you not to finish the second round quickly and let others challenge you first?" On this day, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun took their 2 babies and went out with their friends to visit Jiangbin Bay Park. Seeing his cousin looking so relaxed, without any of the nervousness he had before the duel, Yuan Huang suddenly said something a little strained. "The duel you challenged is the day after tomorrow, right? When do you leave for the United States today? Don't leave too late. Although it's convenient to take a plane now, it's also very shocking. There's also the time difference. You should go there early to adjust your condition." Hearing his words, Chen Jun, who was walking with 2 babies beside him, couldn't help but look over here, with the corners of her mouth slightly raised, and she couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Wu Jiantao was even more puzzled. He turned around and glanced at his cousin. "Going to the United States? When did I say I was going to the United States?" Yuan Huang was puzzled. "Didn't you challenge Bill, the little King Kong from the United States?" "Yes." "Then why don't you go over?" "Of course not. Why should I go over there?" Wu Jiantao was even more confused than him. "No, I wrote the address of the duel in my challenge letter." "That too? Wait a minute." Yuan Huang finally reacted and said in astonishment, "You wrote the address of the challenge here." "Yeah, isn't it?" Wu Jiantao said as a matter of course, "I wrote the challenge letter. Although the challenge letter has no specific format, as the challenger, I have the right to decide where the competition will take place." Forehead. "That's true, and the world's #1 martial arts competition officials have no specific rules that say the challenger must take the initiative to go to where the challenged is. But generally speaking, challengers have to go to where the challenged person is. This is the general rule of the underworld. How come in your case, the challenged person has to travel thousands of miles to our country of China to accept your challenge? Is this something that ordinary people can do? It's about that beautiful country fighter from last time. Yuan Huang can't remember his name, you see. He also came to me. Is it possible to do this? Yuan Huang had never thought about it from this perspective. Why not? Wu Jiantao said as a matter of course. I was the first to complete the second challenge competition. I initiated the challenge according to the competition process and then specified the competition address in the challenge book. The official website of the event also recognized it. That means what I did was reasonable and logical. Forehead. My cousin suddenly burst out laughing. That's right, the officials of the event had no objection, so what else could he say? Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, picked up the phone, and called another warrior from his team, who was also participating in the preliminaries of the world's #1 martial arts competition. Hey, Captain. Well, Xiao Chen, have you written the challenge letter for the third match of the preliminaries? Submitting what's wrong, Xiao Chen, the fourth general of the team, asked back with some confusion. Don't submit it yet, withdraw it immediately. I have something to tell you. Xiao Chen on the other side thought something had happened and quickly withdrew the challenge letter. Captain, what are the precautions? Is the location of the duel in your challenge letter written as the white flag country in Europe? Yes, Xiao Chen on the other end of the phone said as a matter of course. Change the venue of the competition to F City, Province M in our country. Xiao Chen was unable to react for a while, and after a pause he said, Captain, is this okay? It seems not possible. You can check the official website. Zhang Tao's challenge is being posted there. He wrote the location of the challenge at, he said, and then turned to look at Wu Jiantao next to him. Where did you write your address? It's right in our hometown. Wu Family Xinyiquan Martial Arts Hall on Wufeng Mountain in Wushan Village, Luyang Street, Q City. Yuan Huang. Xiao Chen, who heard it clearly on the other end of the line, said, No, what is this? This is. Can the address on the challenge letter be specified like this? The official website of the world's #1 martial arts competition has no objection. Of course I have no objection. After all, this is just a preliminaries. The venue of the official competition and round-robin tournament is the highlight. As for the qualifiers, anyway, it has no commercial value. Even if it does, it is only a little local economic value. Let the warriors handle it themselves. As long as they inform the authorities of the location before the competition, they will naturally send staff to the scene to shoot or broadcast live. Do you understand? Oh, I know what to do. Xiao Chen, sitting opposite him, also saw the challenge letter announcement page on the official website of the world's #1 martial arts tournament. The bottom line of Wu Jiangtao's challenge letter clearly read, Competition location, Wujia Xinyiquan Martial Arts Hall, Wufengshan, Wushan Village, Luyang Street, Q City, M Province, China. Amazing, it's actually possible. When the competition begins, it will be equivalent to giving the Wu Family Xinyiquan Martial Arts School a free advertisement in front of martial arts fans across the country. Wu Jiantao also told his family about this situation, and his parents were happy to see it happen. Come on, let the fellow brothers and sisters in the family's martial arts school get to know foreign fighting styles, which is also very good. If this American fighter named Alex Bill is willing, he can exchange ideas with the young people in their martial arts school after the challenge. They are all young people and can always get together. Chapter 266. Because it is close to home, please subscribe and vote . To be honest, Wu Jiantao hadn't thought about it so much at first. He just wanted to set the venue of the competition at the gymnasium in City F, but before he finished writing the challenge letter, a call came from the United States across the ocean. He answered the phone with some surprise. At first he thought the other party was the official of the event, but after a chat he found out that the other party was from a fighting club or gym in the United States. She said that as long as he designated the competition venue at their gym, she would give him 50,000 yuan, and that the remuneration could be negotiated if he was not satisfied. It would be fine if the other party didn't contact him. This immediately opened up Wu Jiantao's mind. Since we have already decided to hold the competition in China, why not go a step further and hold it in the martial arts gym back home? With this thought in mind, Wu Jiantao directly rejected the other party and immediately wrote his hometown address on the challenge letter. This wave of operations. Xiao Chen on the other end of the phone clapped his hands in admiration. After thinking carefully, he realized that since his family was a business, he could also perform similar operations. The official website of the world's #1 martial arts competition is still very popular in China. It will have hundreds of thousands or even millions of visitors tomorrow. With the upload of the preliminaries challenge competition recording video, the number of visitors is still soaring. In response to this, the domestic internet company that took over the official event was really laughing. In this internet company, the product manager in charge of the official website of the world's #1 martial arts competition is also a martial arts fan. When checking the background data today, he found that many netizens who visited the website spent a lot of time on the challenge letter announcement. What happened? The manager muttered to himself and was about to open the webpage to take a look when there was a knock on the office door from outside. Come in. Manager, please check Weibo. The content of the challenge page on our website has become a hot search. What? The product manager's heart tightened. Was there something wrong with the schedule or the content of that page? He quickly opened Weibo's official website and clicked on the hot search list to see. This is. However, the third most searched topic is. Shocked, I found out that the challenge letter for the world's #1 martial arts competition can be written like this. Below are various comments, quite lively. Awesome, the thought process behind Wu Jiantao and Chen Fei's challenge letter is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Ha 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 ha, I am dying of laughter. They actually wrote the address of the competition in China. How could the challenger travel thousands of miles to China to accept the challenge? Is this a loophole in the rules of the competition? I think it's pretty shameless, but I like it. Everyone is doing things according to the rules. Why are you two the only ones special? Ha 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 ha, well done. The tournament officials didn't specify that this isn't allowed. There's nothing wrong with Wu Jiantao and Chen Fei doing this. The tournament's official organizing committee didn't make any statement either, so it looks like there's really nothing wrong with it. I just think what they did was very satisfying. Why should we always follow the rules of the Western martial arts circle led by the United States? They broke the rules, dared to think what others dared not think, and dared to do what others dared not do. Well done. For a while, the internet was abuzz with discussions about their actions. Some people thought that they were taking advantage of loopholes in the competition rules and were shameless. However, this wave of voices did not cause any waves and was immediately drowned out by the vast number of martial arts fans. Wu Jiantao and Chen Fei both received attention due to the sudden popularity on the internet, which led to them being promoted by the team together and accepting an exclusive team interview from the M Province Comprehensive Television Station. During the interview, the female host asked them curiously, on behalf of the majority of netizens, how they came up with the idea of writing such a challenge letter. Wu Jiantao directly answered, because it is close to home. Female host. Not to mention her, even Chen Fei, who was sitting next to Wu Jiantao, was stunned, just because of this. Before the female host could continue to ask, he continued, it was just because of this at first. I was thinking of setting the venue for the competition at the gym in City F later. I received a call from a fighting club in the United States. They wanted to invite me to arrange the challenge competition in their gym. For this, they were willing to pay me a fee. This gave me inspiration. Anyway, I didn't plan to arrange the venue for the competition in the United States. I just arranged it in the martial arts gym in my hometown. How awesome. Wu Jiantao's hometown is in Q City, and his family is a martial arts family with a family-run martial arts hall. This information was introduced in his personal profile when he participated in the competition, so he did not hide this personal information. In fact, even if he had not been on the hot search in the past 2 days, there are already many young people across the country who are interested in martial arts and have been admitted to M University from all over the country. Some of them have also gone to Wu Jiantao's hometown, Q City, and found the Wu family Xinyaquan Martial Arts School to become his disciples and study. While Wu Jiantao was being interviewed by a TV station in F City, a young Western man who looked like an iron tower appeared at the F City International Airport. He was accompanied by several people. It was obvious from the appearance that he was not an ordinary person. This scene caused the Chinese people at the airport to couldn't help but take a few more glances. Hey, this person looks a little familiar. Look, isn't that Bill? Some young martial arts fans recognized this guy at once, looked over at him in surprise, and whispered to each other. Along the way, more and more people recognized this Western fighter who had recently gained some fame in China and inevitably took a few more glances at him. Bill was showing off here, wondering if anyone would come over to ask for his autograph. However, after he deliberately slowed down his pace, no one came up to him to ask for his autograph or take a photo with him. By the way, my fame has been limited to top domestic competitions in the past 2 years. I can still have a good reputation in Europe, but in this distant eastern country, I still need solid results to have real fans. Bill smiled cheerfully, turning to look at the assistant beside him, You said before how long it would take us to get to Q City from here. If we go to Q City now, we need to call a taxi to the train station and buy a train to Q City. It will take less than an hour. Bill's martial arts assistant could not hide his fatigue. He was very tired after a flight, but seeing his boss looking so energetic. With this kind of physical strength and energy, can one only say that he is worthy of being a fighting genius. Chapter 267, I don't have enough strength. Please subscribe and vote for me Tilda. He couldn't wait any longer. Even though the competition was on the day after tomorrow, he wanted to go to the place where the competition was taking place right now. After finding a place to stay, he would go over and take a look. Well, judging from the location of the competition, that's the family martial arts school of that guy called Wu. Mysterious Oriental Kung Fu. Back then, Li Feilong created a flying dragon whirlwind in their beautiful country. Not only did it have a huge impact on the fighting world in the Western world, but it also allowed people all over the world to get to know the extremely mysterious Oriental Kung Fu from China. Kung Fu. Li Feilong is a star master who left behind amazing strength and speed data in the United States. However, with the passage of time, these data have long been surpassed by their younger generations. Although it is regrettable that this senior passed away at an early age, now we can finally let the Eastern and Western martial arts compete again. It's really exciting. Bill did not stop in City F to rest, but headed to City Q without stopping with his bodyguards and assistant. I can't believe it, I can't believe it. Is this China? Along the way, I looked at the spacious, clean, and orderly roads, and then walked into the stylish, bright, and spacious railway station. Although there were many people, everything was so orderly. There were no graffiti on the walls, and the pedestrians were all dressed neatly and cleanly. Yes, it is clean and tidy. Maybe others do know, but Bill, who has been a rebellious child since childhood, knows what the young people who travel in the subways and train stations in the beautiful country look like. Soon they arrived on the platform. Some kids who were traveling with their parents looked at them curiously. One kid pointed at them and said to the adults, "Wow, they are foreigners. Mommy, look, they are foreigners. One is so tall and the others are so fat." As soon as the little brat spoke, everyone looked over. Bill and his group immediately felt like they were rare animals being watched by others, and they couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. "I'm sorry, children don't understand." The child's mother quickly grabbed her son and said, "The teacher said that in public places. Don't make loud noises, don't play around. Then should you speak softly and be polite to this uncle." Want. Seeing this scene, Bill grinned at the child, and that fierce smile scared the little guy so much that he screamed, "Wow," and hid behind his mother. He suddenly felt depressed. This was the case when he was in China. It seems that I really have no luck with children. When getting in the car, Bill couldn't help but say to the assistant beside him, "It's very different from what they say on TV and in the newspapers, isn't it?" "Yeah, it's much better than I thought. I just don't know how their trains compare to ours. It seems that in China, we don't call it a train, but a high-speed train." "Is there any difference?" "Really high-speed trains seem faster." The health doctor who was walking beside him shrugged nonchalantly and said casually. The car started moving, and soon the speed displayed on the LED above the door of the car was 233 km/h. Isn't this ridiculously fast when the number reaches around 300? Bill. Others. The group was speechless for a while, and Bill was surprised to find that the naughty kid and his mother were also there. "Hellos." The little brat was finally not afraid this time, and greeted Bill with a smile. Although he was small, he was smart enough to see that this tall man like an iron tower was the most important one among them. "Mud Howl, are you here to travel to China?" "Travel, I guess so." The trip was very pleasant. Bill rarely met a child with whom he could have a pleasant chat. Fortunately, he brought an interpreter with him on this trip, otherwise they would have had to use gestures to communicate. When Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun returned to their hometown, they happened to meet their second senior sister, who was returning home in a taxi. "Second senior sister, you're here." Second senior sister Li Kaiyan was sitting in the yard chatting with Wu's father. Her son was standing beside her. When he saw Wu Jiantao coming, he ran over and said, "Uncle Master, we just saw a foreigner on the train. He was so tall." "Yeah, stand still." Just as they were chatting here, suddenly a voice with a very strange accent came from the other side of the door. "Nihao, are you still staying at home?" Everyone turned to look. Li Kaiyan's son in the yard looked stunned. Uncle Bill. "Oh." Bill was also stunned when he saw the little kid in the yard. How could it be such a coincidence? "Bill." Wu Jiantao was very surprised to see him and hurried over. "Hello, I hope you can give me your guidance the day after tomorrow. Ha 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 Wu, I finally found you. I hope this isn't just a duel. We can have more exchanges, so I came here early. Ha ha, please come in. Although they were opponents on the field, Wu Jiantao still welcomed the other party in very politely, as he was a guest. During the chat, Bill, whether he was really naive or doing it on purpose, actually asked to see the martial arts of their martial arts school. Wu, actually, Li Feilong is in our beautiful country's Jeet Kune Do, and I have also learned some. As he said that, he stood up from his position and did a Wing Chun two-character horse stance. He first used a very classic punch, then opened his stance, kicked out with both feet, and the wind was whistling. You could tell at a glance that this guy's leg skills were quite ferocious. Good. Father Wu nodded and said, "You are less than 20 years old, right? You have such skills at such a young age, not bad." Thanks. Bill smiled. But Wu's father's next sentence made him frown. But your strength doesn't seem to be trained to the point. Strength. Bill's translator was confused how to translate this word. After thinking for a while, he could only translate it like this. He said that your strength is still insufficient. Bill, my powers, insufficient. Although Wu Jiantao was not an English major, he still understood the word power. He said with a smile, No, that word didn't mean power. It means. Damn, it seems that there is really no corresponding English word for this word. He could only say, the strength my father just mentioned is not just as simple as power, but an expression of power. Seeing Wu Jiantao come out to explain, Bill suppressed his dissatisfaction, but he became even more confused as he listened to his explanation. What the hell? No, I am very confident in my strength. No matter what form of strength you are talking about, it is still strength. Come on, I want to compete with you. Chapter 268. Pick the wrong opponent, please subscribe and vote for me tilde. Bill looked at Wu Dad with an unhappy face. Well, through the conversation just now, he knew that Wu Dad was also a powerful warrior, and Wu Jiantao had just said that his father was stronger than him, so he was not bullying the weak. As he said this, he sat back on the chair, stretched out his arms, which were as thick as an ordinary person's thighs, and made a gesture as if he was going to arm wrestle. This is not uncommon in the Western fighting world, and many friendly fights are conducted through arm wrestling. Are you serious? Wu Jiantao was speechless. Certainly. That's not necessary. I can show you the expression of power. No, I want to compete with this. Bill even used Chinese when he said this. Senior, let's compete. You mean senior? You sound a bit old. I had encountered many bizarre things and people when I was traveling around the world before, but this arm wrestling. This was the first time in his life that Wu Ba encountered such a unique challenge. This inevitably made him hesitate, but he saw the fighter who came from afar to accept his son's challenge looking at him with a look of joy. Hey, come on, don't worry, I won't hurt you. Originally, Wu Dad thought that he should not bully the weak, but when the translator beside him translated the truth, he frowned. That's fine. He didn't refute what Bill said. It would be better to be more practical. He stretched out his hand and held Bill's hand together. The martial arts assistant next to him stepped out to act as the referee. 3, 2, 1, start. Hey, yo. As soon as he finished speaking, Bill clenched his right palm suddenly. At the same time, his arm burst out with great force. His originally very strong arm instantly became more than twice as strong, with veins bulging on it, showing an extremely terrifying power. Click. The extremely thick mahogany table in the yard made some noises. On the other hand, Wu Dad on the opposite side looked calm and composed, and his right arm did not show any strong muscles. Compared with Bill's, it looked like a child's arm. Originally, Bill's assistant and followers thought that this arm wrestling match would end quickly, and that this overconfident middle-aged Chinese man would be defeated by his boss very quickly. But 1 second passed, and then 10 seconds passed. But Bill on the opposite side felt as if he had hit a towering mountain head-on from the opponent's palm, and he couldn't shake it at all. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes. This was an illusion. This was definitely an illusion. With a roar of anger, he stomped his feet hard, using the strength of his waist and legs, and finally burst out with all his strength. Cracks. The mahogany table finally made a sound of being overwhelmed, and it felt like it might break at any time. At this moment, Father Wu on the opposite side also made some movements, but he did not shout or exert force, but stretched out his left hand to support the bottom of the table. The sound of the table disappeared in an instant. Wu Jiantao standing by shook his head. This kind of physical strength was indeed terrifying. It was only slightly inferior to his own, but it was not enough to face his own father. I can only say that this guy picked the wrong opponent. If it were me, I would probably need to use my strength to defeat him, but Wu Dad simply stood in a square stance, with the strength in his body fully integrated. With a simple downward force, he absorbed all of the opponent's strength, and even used his left hand to hold him up. Wu Jiantao could never reach this level of control. Bill's assistant and entourage were all stunned. This is impossible. Why did this middle-aged Chinese man seem to be holding up his boss's arm without even exerting any strength, and his arm muscles didn't even swell? Whoosh! The next moment, Wu Ba's strength rose from his waist and penetrated his arms, and his muscles suddenly exploded. Bill felt that the opponent's strength was like a mountain torrent, and he couldn't resist it at all. His arm was crushed and slammed heavily on the table. Okay, you'd better not waste too much energy, otherwise it will affect your competition the day after tomorrow. Wu Ba shook his head. In the contest just now, he didn't even need to use a single layer of his skills. Unless the opponent's strength was 3 times greater, he would have a chance of defeating him. Although Wu Dad couldn't resist the collision of such forces, he did have a way to resolve it. At this moment, a slightly old voice came from the side. "Little kid, how can you use brute force like this?" Bill and the others turned around with some frustration, only to see a middle-aged man with black hair, but who seemed quite old looking at them with amusement. It was Mr. Wu. Wu Jiantao quickly introduced his grandfather to Bill. Bill hurriedly bowed, then turned to look at Wu's father and said with a wry smile, "Mr. Zhan Yang, you are too powerful. I admit defeat. I think if we were in the ring, I might not be your opponent at all." "Thank you for the compliment." No, I'm not exaggerating at all. I'm just telling the truth. Little guy, it would be a shame if you don't know how to use your strength. Old Master Wu came to his side, stretched out his hand, and asked him to take the same arm wrestling position as before, and then asked a disciple of the martial arts school to step forward. "You go and withstand his strength." "Are you going to teach me?" Although it was a bit confusing, Bill still followed the old man's instructions. Seeing that the person in front of him was a young man who looked very thin, he thought, it would be better to use 30% of his strength first, so as not to hurt the other party. Compared with himself, the young man's body was less than 1.8 meters tall, with broad shoulders and arms, which were too slender, making him feel very fragile. Start. Bill exerted force with his right arm again, and the next moment, he was shocked to feel an extremely strong force from the opponent's hand. Without thinking, he immediately increased his strength, and when it reached 100%, the young man opposite also blushed, and he stood in the 8-horse stance with all his strength, stimulated his whole body strength, and forcibly suppressed his opponent. Soon, Grandpa Wu picked up a short stick from the side and pressed it against a certain acupuncture point on Bill's lower back. Drink. The next moment, Bill clearly felt that his arms had borrowed a huge force from his legs and waist, and the strength in his hands instantly increased by more than 1 level. Just as he was about to crush his opponent's arm with his hand, he saw Old Man Wu casually blocking Bill's outburst that exceeded his own strength limit. Chapter 269, Enlightenment. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Bill was completely stunned. On the side, the martial arts assistant and health doctor behind him almost covered their eyes and dared not watch the tragic scene that followed. When they were arm wrestling just now, the huge mahogany table creaked, and even when he stomped on the ground with his waist, back, legs, and feet, they could feel the ground shaking. But this ordinary old man, who looked to be in his 50s and not good-looking, easily blocked Bill with just one hand. Even though their boss is only 20 years old, he is definitely at the pinnacle of physical fitness among humans. In his youth, when he was nearly 13 years old, he was strong enough to kill a cow with one punch. And the scene that just appeared before my eyes, it made all of their jaws drop. You. Bill stood up suddenly, looking shocked. How does it feel? The feeling of exerting force just now is exerting strength. Old Master Wu said cheerfully. In fact, although the Western fighting world does not have the concept of generating force, the application and research of waste and horsepower are very in-depth. Of course, they call this the core muscle group, and they have also scientifically formed explosive moves of exerting force. Take Bill, for example. Although he didn't understand the standing meditation and didn't know how to burst out and use the body's strength, when he was arm wrestling just now, he unconsciously stood in a horse stance, because this is the best posture for exerting force, and it is also the instinct of the human body under explosive power. The development of Chinese martial arts over thousands of years has been based on the study of the mysteries of the human body. It also started with the exertion of force, but gradually discovered the wonderful role played by the body's bones and fascia. It deeply realized that the explosion of power is from bottom to top and from inside to outside. Gradually, it recognized the internal strength and studied the internal relationship between internal strength and qi and blood. Finally, it summarized various strengths, summarized the internal and external trinity, and designed various postures that are most suitable for exerting strength. And this is the practice of standing meditation. The human body's instincts are very powerful. Although the fighting training Bill received since childhood is not like the complete and unique system of Chinese martial arts, when he practices to a certain level, the body's instincts will gradually give him a unique understanding of force. This understanding is the body's instinct feedback to the brain. Just like in Latin America south of the United States, there is a very interesting ground technique, not just wrestling. There are also some leg techniques. Don't be fooled by their various somersaults and jumps. The core of their leg techniques is to lower the body and then suddenly kick with fast speed and amazing power. The master's leg techniques can deliver tons of terrible force in each kick. The Garcia family, to which Bill belongs, is also a fighting family in this genre and has a significant influence in the fighting world of the United States. After the old man's instruction, Bill came back to his senses immediately and began to involuntarily think about using the strange way of exerting his strength just now. Bill involuntarily squatted down into a horse stance, punched out with his right arm involuntarily, and swung it a few times, imitating the arm wrestling posture just now, trying to feel the explosion just now. But he couldn't find the feeling just now. But this guy is indeed a genius in martial arts, and he couldn't help but murmur, that feeling is like a line. That's right, the so-called fa jin is like a person holding one end of a string and then swinging it hard. The force goes along the string, accelerating in the process until the final snap. Anyone who has a little experience in life knows that being hit by a rope like this is very painful. Yes, it's a line. Old Master Wu looked at the foreign youth in surprise, with a hint of approval in his eyes. Yes, this little kid has a bright future. With this understanding, he can have a promising future. At least he can grow into a master at the level of entering the realm of enlightenment. However, the Western fighting world does not have a very specific definition of the level of masters in Chinese martial arts who have mastered the art of strength. But the old man's circle has summarized the characteristics of Western martial arts masters. Well, no matter how strong your physical fitness is, fighting has its limits. How to break through in the future. Chinese martial arts follow the path of spirit, energy, and spirit, while Western martial arts focus on the mind, as they say, to make the mind close to nothingness and stimulate the body's initial instinct. For example, a motto of a Western fighting school that Grandpa Wu has seen: let your mind return to the universe, as vast and boundless as it is, as endless as it is. When it is quiet, as peaceful and natural as the sea and sky. When it explodes, it is as swift as thunder. Although the West is not as complete as the Chinese martial arts system in terms of martial arts realm, it has very unique aspects on the spiritual level. Once one reaches the state where the mind is close to nothingness, the martial arts strength will be comparable to that of the Chinese masters of strength. The old man and several old friends have studied the various schools of Western fighting, and even the Wu family Xinyaquin's mind skills have absorbed some of the spiritual practice tips from them, enriching the Wu family Xinyaquin's mind method. Bill left with a lot of gains, while the Wu family members were all a little amused. This boy is just a child. When leaving, Bill vowed to Wu Jiantao that he would not lose this competition. Because when he was at the Wu family, he was shocked to see that his opponent this time was actually taking care of a baby. This was incomprehensible to him. How can a man with great ambitions and devoted to martial arts be burdened by his family? The most important thing is that through the guidance of Master Wu this time, he has become stronger again. Wu Jiantao, who was busy taking care of Xiao Daodu, didn't care where his confidence came from. He turned and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Before we knew it, another day had passed, and the date for the duel between Wu Jiantao and Alex, Bill Garcia, had officially arrived. On this day, there were quite a lot of people in the Wu family martial arts gym on Wufeng Mountain in Wushan Village, and there were even many foreign fighters. Among them, it is worth mentioning that the official staff of the martial arts community of Province M and the world's #1 martial arts competition also came and set up cameras on the scene, ready to record this competition. Yes, this competition was not a live broadcast. Soon it was 10 o'clock in the morning and the competition time had arrived. Bill and Wu Jiantao, who had arrived at the scene early, also came to the dojo of the martial arts school respectively. If it weren't for my family's teachings, I would definitely join your martial arts school. When Bill, who was taller than Wu Jiantao and looked like an iron tower, came in front of him, he said something with some regret. Well, the Garcia family, to which this guy belongs, has a great influence in the United States and even in the Western fighting world. This means that it is impossible for him to freely join any martial arts school, let alone an unknown small martial arts gym in China. Sorry, I'm stuck, and there's something going on at home today, tilde. There will be another update in the evening, tilde. Chapter 270 begins. Please subscribe and vote for me, tilde. In fact, although Chinese martial arts has not had a very profound influence on the international scale in recent years, it has many fans internationally due to its continuous development over the years. Just like many well-known Southern martial arts such as Wing Chun and Chen-style Tai Chi, they have considerable commercial activities internationally and have long since spread abroad and have many foreign disciples. If Bill really wants to become a disciple at the Wu family Xinyiquan Martial Arts School, Dad Wu will welcome him very much. But if he really joined the Wu family martial arts school, how to teach him would be a problem, and this problem would be difficult to solve. That is, Bill was too deeply influenced by Western fighting styles, and it was difficult for him to get rid of his inherent thinking. At the same time, he had no knowledge of Chinese culture, did not recognize Chinese characters, let alone understand the true meaning of them. This kind of hindrance is extremely difficult to overcome. Just like Western doctors, they have no way of understanding Chinese medicine. They simply cannot comprehend concepts like yin and yang, the 5 elements, dampness, cold, dryness, heat, yang deficiency, and yin deficiency. Let alone Westerners, even Chinese people don't understand these concepts. At most, they know some foods, cold or hot properties, and that meals can warm and nourish the body. Of course, these are also common knowledge in Chinese medicine, and this is the result of Chinese medicine's subtle influence on this land for thousands of years. The match is about to begin. The referee outside the arena is a well-known master from the Western fighting world. They both turned their heads and saw the referee talking to Old Man Wu very respectfully. Then he bowed and turned towards the arena. Do they know each other? Wu Jiantao thought to himself, I've never heard my grandfather talk about this before. A few steps later, the referee, who was about the same size as Bill, stood on the stage. His calm eyes swept over Alex Bill Garcia and finally landed on Wu Jiantao. He looked at him deeply, then stood between the two of them, raised his hand and waved it down. The game begins. As soon as he finished speaking, he flew backwards. At the same time, Bill's figure, which was like an iron tower, moved suddenly and instantly appeared in front of Wu Jiantao. Ode! The explosion sound made when the fist pierced the air, the speed and force. Some young Chinese warriors and foreign fighters on the sidelines all changed their expression. Of course, at this moment, the two of them were focusing on different things. The former was solemnly aware that this guy named Bill actually mobilized his internal strength with this punch. In previous competitions, he had never shown this. Was he hiding something? The latter, from Bill's punch, clearly felt that this kid was completely different from a few months ago. The increase in this burst of power. This is outrageous. This, generally speaking, it is impossible for a normal person to have such a big improvement in such a short period of time, unless he takes drugs. But if that's the case, this guy's future in martial arts will definitely be self-destructive. He will undergo physical examinations before and after the game. Once discovered, he will be disqualified from the competition and will be officially banned from ever participating in the world's #1 martial arts competition. But this is impossible. So the only explanation is that this kid has made such a terrifying improvement in just 2 or 3 months. How is that possible? A slender Western fighting master had an expression of disbelief on his face. Half a year ago, he met Bill on the field, and it took him a lot of effort to defeat this latecomer. At that time, he felt that this kid had unlimited potential in the future, so he kept paying attention to him. He even came to watch his game in person this time, wanting to see how much this kid had improved in the past few months, and then he was speechless. Strength burst is based on physical fitness, and the improvement of physical fitness is definitely not achieved overnight. It requires accumulation bit by bit, and it can only be achieved through day-to-day and year-to-year training. Whoosh! Facing this punch, Wu Jiantao lowered his body and dodged the opponent's fierce and swift punch. Ode to praise. Bill opened his fists left and right, one after another, and each punch was accompanied by a terrifying sound that made people's hearts palpitate. Wu Jiantao kept retreating, and his upper body kept changing, as if he had several figures to avoid the opponent's fierce attacks. The referee stood far away, staring at the competition with sharp eyes, his body tense, and ready to intervene in their victory or defeat at any time. Bill's sudden visit was a bit of an uninvited guest, but after sitting down and chatting with the Wu family, the old and young masters found that this boy was actually a typical Westerner, without so many politeness and courtesy, and was very straightforward. He actually came to communicate, even though the first words he said were simply provocative. Fortunately, both Wu Dad and Wu Jiantao were generous people and did not get angry immediately. Instead, they calmly chatted with the other party. Only then did they realize that this kid really wanted to communicate with them. When this guy left, he said to the old man with regret that if it weren't for his family background in martial arts and his great influence in the United States and even in the Western fighting world, he might have worshipped the old man as his teacher. And Grandpa Wu just smiled and didn't say anything to him on this issue. He just told him to understand the way to use his strength. Apparently, Bill took this statement to heart, and in just one day, he mastered how to use strength to explode the power of his whole body. Even though his energy was still crude, and not at all as delicate and smooth as when the whole energy was put into a circle, his strength attribute was too high. Even a star-level expert in China would not dare to take on this overbearing outburst head-on. Bill rushed forward with all his strength, and suddenly the speed of his right punch increased sharply. Wu Jiantao was finally unable to avoid it and could only block it with his elbow and took a big step back. It was at this opportunity that the opponent seized. He suddenly moved forward and lowered his center of gravity. At the same time, his right foot turned into a black shadow like a scorpion's tail and instantly chopped in front of Wu Jiantao. Quick, loud, ruthless. On the side, the referee who had been watching the competition closely stomped his feet suddenly and almost rushed over. The reason he didn't do that was because at this critical moment, Wu Jiantao also moved. Well, at this moment, he did not retreat but advanced, actually approaching Bill. Wu Jiantao's unstoppable look just now was simply fake. He wanted Bill to use his most proud and powerful move, Wu family's Xiniaquan Bear Backer. An extremely heavy shoulder collision hit Bill's waist and abdomen heavily. He was caught off guard, and with the crisp sound of bones colliding, his whole body left the ground and flew out. Chapter 271, You Are Special. Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. Chase the cicada in 8 steps. To kill you while you are weak, Wu Jiantao stomped his foot suddenly and followed him like a shadow and hit him hard with another heavy punch. Bill was no pushover either. He reacted immediately and blocked it with both hands. But the next moment, the force of the opponent's punch made him look horrified. This terrifying force, which he had only felt from his cousin, was like a landslide or tsunami, pressing his arm heavily against his chest. The terrifying force penetrated through his arm and into his chest and abdomen. Bill flew 2 or 3 meters in the air, but he managed to keep his balance and landed steadily on his feet. However, he couldn't help but hug his chest and abdomen as soon as he landed, and couldn't stop vomiting in one breath. Wow. He tried to stand up and regroup, but the sudden burst of blood and the pain in his chest and abdomen forced him to bend down, holding his abdomen and staggering. At this time, Wu Jiantao just took a step forward and punched him on the temple. Wu Jiantao wins. The referee appeared beside Wu Jiantao with an expressionless face, raised his right hand, and announced. After a while, Bill finally recovered from his shock. He looked a little dazed, as if he couldn't accept that he had lost to Wu Jiantao so easily. Wu, you are much stronger than I thought. I lost sincerely, but I won't give up so easily. One day I will surpass you. Soon the boy adjusted himself, walked up to Wu Jiantao and shook his hand. At the side of the dojo, Chen Jun, who also saw the two people's movements very clearly, finally breathed a sigh of relief and his tense mood relaxed. Although her father Wu and the old man had said before the competition that her husband could win this match, the situation in the competition still made her very nervous. If it were an ordinary Star Master, he would most likely not be Bill's opponent. His speed and strength are too overwhelming, especially his leg techniques. He has also realized the method of explosive internal energy. Unfortunately, the one challenging him, Wu Jiantao, also had an inhuman level of physical fitness and was even slightly better than him. As soon as the result of this battle came out, it instantly exploded on the internet, both at home and abroad. For a time, countless martial arts fans on the internet were celebrating and discussing it. Daddies. As soon as Wu Jiantao returned to the courtyard gate of his home, he saw 2 little guys in the yard walking towards him happily, and then jumped into his arms with a smile. Hugging. The babies held Wu Jiantao and climbed onto him using their hands and feet. At this moment, the actions of these 2 little guys made his heart melt. On the side, Chen Jun pursed her lips in laughter and suddenly took out her phone to take a picture of her husband. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. Wu Jiantao held Daodu and Miao in her left and right hands, standing under the azalea beside the courtyard wall. The picture of light and shadow was left in her mobile phone. It has been a while since they went back to their hometown, so Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun planned to stay at home for a while. Well, although the couple both have jobs now, their work locations are quite flexible. Chen Jun just uses the computer to process his mathematical model and calculate the experimental direction for several projects at the institute at this stage. As for Wu Jiantao, as for his teaching work at M University and the team's seminars, he plans to invite students and teammates to his hometown for discussions. This is an above-board job. No one from M University or the team will gossip about it. Be lazy. What are you talking about? You see, my home is a martial arts school, right? I have many fellow disciples who are at the whole strength level or above, some of whom are even star-level masters. Father Wu and Grandpa Wu are also the top masters in the Southern Martial Arts Circle. Don't you want to come and see them? The head of the martial arts department of M University was overjoyed. After hearing about this, he even volunteered to talk to Wu Jiantao. You don't have to come back all the way to lead the students. I'll lead the team myself. Maybe some people working in the department's administrative jobs would gossip and say all kinds of nasty things behind the back about Wu Jiantao, who doesn't have to punch in every day and doesn't even come to school for a week, but is paid more than 10 times more than them. There were all kinds of things said. Some said he took advantage of his position in the security bureau to bring students there for teaching without authorization, which had a bad influence. Some people also said that he didn't put his mind into the work at all, and that such teaching was not sincere at all, and the talented students actually didn't learn anything. But several leaders in the department now regard Wu Jiantao as a treasure, and even expressed great welcome for his various lazy working methods in recent times. They specially advocated at the department's work meeting that the department's teaching of martial arts students should not remain at the dogmatic and rigid learning in the dojo. They even praised Wu Jiantao by name, thinking that his out-of-the-way teaching method is very interesting. They suggested that the department could mobilize M University's various relationships in the society and take the students of the department to martial arts clubs or various traditional martial arts halls in F City and even M Province to exchange and learn, to broaden their horizons, which is also a rare experience and practice for the students. The leaders made a final decision on Wu Jiantao's alternative teaching method over the past few months, and all the strange voices in the department disappeared. However, this did not change the views of many professors and mentors in the department towards him, and they even hated him more. Yes, your martial arts skills are indeed very strong, even strong enough to participate in the world's #1 martial arts competition. We acknowledge this, but can you please not be so unconventional in teaching? You never attend the department's teaching seminars and various work meetings, and you have never been integrated into our entire teaching system. Everyone is doing things according to the rules, even the honorary professors with star strength in the department. Why are you the only one who is special? Now, those honorary professors who originally came to the department as part-timers are happy to not come to school and directly call the students out, or even take them directly to the martial arts clubs or dojos where they work. Those most affected are the instructors who teach a few classes a week, and the counselors and administrative staff who work from 9 to 5 in the departments and colleges. Because, compared to the total class time of a dozen or so hours a week, this teaching method of taking students out has not only changed their usual working form, but also added various work content. The days of sitting in the office leisurely, drinking tea and coffee, chatting and gossiping are gone forever, which directly or indirectly changed their previous leisurely and comfortable work. This is so fucking disgusting. Chapter 272, One Morning. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. Wu Jiantao was naturally well aware of all the rumors about him in the department, but he never thought of changing the way he worked for them. They said that he didn't teach the students well, but he didn't take it to heart. He didn't care whether he taught seriously, whether the students learned, and how much they grew. He knew it very well. Everything will be clear at the end of the semester. Let them say whatever they want. After all, they have their own mouths and he can't control them. He is also very clear that even if he changes himself to cater to them, all kinds of comments against him will still exist. A tree that stands out in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. This is not accidental, but inevitable. The day after the competition ended, and the third day after Wu Jiantao returned home, was Saturday. Amid the crisp chirping of birds, a faint hint of dawn appeared in the eastern sky. It was just 5 o'clock when Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun got up. Good mornings. After giving his wife a sweet good morning kiss, he got up from the bed in high spirits, turned to the closet, and changed into a sports suit. Chen Jun behind him also sat up, her face flushed with embarrassment. Someone had a big match yesterday and was exhausted, so he didn't. Cough, cough. But in the middle of the night, the two of them turned over in their dreams and hugged each other inadvertently. In a state of half sleep and half wakefulness, Chen Jun felt as if she was awake, but fell asleep again. The body is in a state of complete relaxation, yet it is still there, and the experience is special and awake. What? Chen Jun got up and looked at the two little guys who were still sleeping soundly. When he got up and walked through the closet, he slapped someone angrily. I told you to have a good rest, you last night. I rested last night, Wu Jiantao said in confusion. You call that rest, you call that rest. Chen Jun gritted his teeth and poked his ribs hard. Where is that? Someone is playing dumb. Chen Jun blushed immediately. When she was about to say something, she saw her husband clapping his hands. I see. According to what you said, I did get a good rest last night. Then, didn't that happen early this morning? What? She didn't want to talk anymore and turned away. Bang! When closing the bathroom door, Wu Jiantao reached out and blocked the door. What are you doing? I need to wash up, get out. Chen Jun's face was still red, and she gave him a reproachful look with her bright eyes. Then I have to wash up too, Wu Jiantao said confidently. After washing up for about 40 minutes, Wu Jiantao came out of the bathroom refreshed, while Chen Jun came out again, tidying up the clothes she had just changed into. It's all your fault. Look, my clothes are all messed up. She gritted her teeth and kicked someone's calf in hatred. Well, Chen Jun has also summed up her experience in kicking people. For a pervert like her husband, if you want to hit him, you have to hit the flesh. The bony parts like the front bone should not be kicked. It feels like hitting steel in concrete, and it hurts like hell. Why don't you just change your clothes? Wu Jiantao was smiling, and suddenly, as if he remembered something, he turned around and went into the bathroom. She tidied up her sportswear. Although it was a little wrinkled, she didn't need to change it. She turned around and saw her husband going back to the bathroom. She asked a question in confusion. What are you doing? Didn't you say we were going out for a run together? I haven't brushed my teeth or washed my face yet. Someone inside laughed and answered, forehead. Chen Jun then remembered how difficult it was to support himself on the sink when he was brushing his teeth just now. As for him, from the beginning, saying that he needed to come in to wash up was just an excuse. Snort. Chen Jun blushed again. Although Chen Jun has made great progress in the practice of tantric yoga, this tantric practice method is more about the contemplation of the mind and will, and the control of the body's qi and blood is not as free as that of martial arts practitioners. Therefore, it took a while for her radiant and blushing face to calm down. Fortunately, when the two of them went downstairs in their sportswear, it was not yet 6 o'clock. In the kitchen, Wu's mother was already steaming the soup dumplings and steamed buns that Wu Jiantao had prepared last night, while Wu's father was quietly standing in the yard. Good morning, Dad and Moms. After saying hello to their parents, the two of them trotted out of the gate of their yard. Tab, tab, tab. With the sound of light running, the young couple ran past the banyan tree. There were some fallen green leaves and banyan seeds on the ground, which made a rustling sound when they stepped on them. Inhale, exhale. Smelling the light fragrance of grass and trees in the air, Chen Jun couldn't help but take a deep breath and then exhale slowly. He felt like a blade of grass trying hard to emerge in the early morning, growing upwards in the direction of the light. Full of vitality. Good morning, Aunt Aijin. After running past their neighbor's house, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun saw a familiar figure carrying a bucket of water out of the house and greeted him. Hey, you're out jogging so early. Yes. Wu Jiantao waved at her and continued running forward with Chen Jun. At this time, the sun had not yet fallen on the land here. The wind blowing in the face was still a little cold, and there was a faint white mist lingering on the rolling mountains in the distance. I looked up, and perhaps because of a shower yesterday afternoon, the temperature dropped a bit last night, so there was a little white fog in the mountains and forests this morning. Generally speaking, in my hometown, there will only be heavy fog in the mountains and forests in autumn when the temperature difference between day and night is large and the weather is turning cool. After taking a closer look at the mountains in the distance, Wu Jiantao suddenly smiled and said, "It looks like today will be another sunny day." Oh. We old folks often say a proverb, when it rains, the mountain is covered with a hat. When it is dry, the mountain is halfway up the mountain. This refers to fog. It means that when the fog is on the top of the mountain and covers the top of the mountain like a hat, it will rain. When the fog is in the middle of the mountain and the mountainside is invisible, it will be sunny. Chen Jun thought about it and realized that it was true. It's very interesting. The height of the mist floating in the air is generally related to the air pressure. As expected of a top student, he immediately recalled the geography class he had taken in high school and explained the corresponding scientific theoretical basis. There is another one which says that if it rains in the morning, it will stop after dinner. If it rains after dinner, it will not clear up. Wu Jiantao said another one. Come on, explain this meteorological proverb. What? This sentence is complicated. I am afraid that only experts who specialize in meteorology can explain this peculiar meteorology. This proverb is probably the result of our predecessor's extensive experience in meteorology. Chapter 273 is here. Please subscribe and vote for me. Chen Jun rolled her eyes at her husband and ignored him. With their physical strength, the running speed was naturally not too slow. They ran up the mountain from the foot of Wushan Mountain and accelerated their running with their wives on the stairs. When they went down the mountain, Wu Jiantao's breath was still steady and even, while Chen Jun's breath was a little fluctuating, and sweat was oozing out of his face and back. You can't do this. You still need to exercise more. You need to exercise more, Tilda. It was all fine at first, but as she was talking, a sly smile appeared on someone's face, and he looked at her with a mocking look. Chen Jun, who was also an old married couple, immediately got the feeling of his accelerator. Her face, which was slightly flushed due to sweating from running, immediately turned even redder. She rolled her eyes at him prettily, slightly opened her cherry lips, and said a word. Get lost. How also? Running down from the other side of Wushan Mountain, Wu Jiantao turned on his smart watch to check the surveillance in the room. The two little ones were still sleeping. If they woke up and he couldn't get back, he would use his watch to call his mother and ask her to help take care of them. Seeing that the baby was still sleeping, he felt relieved and continued running with Chen Jun along the path in the valley on the other side of Wushan. After turning a corner, they saw a clear river passing by. Here it is. How is it? Nice view, right? Wu Jiantao smiled, looking at the beautiful scenery in front of him, and felt a long-lost feeling in his heart. Well, although I go home often since I got married, I have to take care of the baby. Even if I take the baby out for a walk occasionally, I have never walked so far. This morning, when I was jogging with my wife, the first thing I thought of was to come here and take a look. Haven't been here for more than 2 years. At this time, the sun has spread all over the land. The breeze is blowing gently in the mountains and forests, and the river in front of me is clear and silent, with sparkling waves. As he looked at it, Wu Jiantao recalled the time when he played on the beach by the river when he was a child. Unfortunately, there is no beach by the river anymore, and only the red soil is exposed on the shore. In the early years, people from the county came to the village to run a sand field and took away all the sand from the river. At that time, China's domestic infrastructure was too hot, and the river sand, which was very suitable for building houses, roads, and bridges, was also very easy to sell, creating several 100,000-level millionaires in the village. In those years, the villagers had no opinion on this. At that time, the economy was booming, and everyone was looking forward. They seldom looked back to notice the surrounding environment. It was not until a few years ago that people were shocked to find that the beach that used to be like the moving gauze on a beautiful dress on the side of this beautiful river beside Wushan had disappeared. Now, with the economic development, the city plans to build a riverside park along this beautiful and wide river all the way to the urban area. The public construction plan includes the following plan to purchase river sand from other places and transform suitable tidal flats along the river into beaches. In this regard, the young people of Wushan village who were the same age as Wu Jiantao were all speechless. If they had known this would happen, what would they have done earlier? However, if you think about it carefully, there is nothing to be angry or funny about. After all, everything was oriented towards the economy back then, and no one cared too much about the environment, nor did they have any requirements. It was nothing like the current slogan, green water and green mountains are gold and silver mountains. After running for a while along the bluestone path by the river, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun circled Wushan Mountain and returned to the front gate of their home in less than 20 minutes. Who's who? Standing in the courtyard, Chen Jun supported his knees with his hands and bent down, his face and back covered with sweat. Running with Wu Jiantao was quite tiring. Except for jogging at the beginning, climbing Wushan Mountain was basically a full-out sprint for Chen Jun, especially when going down the mountain. It seemed easy, but in fact you needed to be very careful when putting your feet down. Every step had to be steady, otherwise you might easily step on the sand and slip if you're not careful when running down the mountain. It required special control over the center of gravity of the body. As the saying goes, it is easier to go up the mountain than to go down. This is what it means. At a little after 9 in the morning, Wang Liern, the head of the martial arts department of M University, arrived at Wushan Village with the department's talented students. After receiving the WeChat message from the director, Wu Jiantao went out of his home to the stage at the entrance of the village, took them to the martial arts hall on Wushan Mountain, and then began to plan his personal teaching plan for this week. At present, there are only 8 talented students who have signed up for Wu Jiangtao's martial arts instruction class. As soon as they entered the martial arts hall, the students looked around this spacious and quaint dojo with great curiosity. When they saw the wooden man at the edge of the yard, they immediately surrounded it out of curiosity. The department head stood very respectfully beside Wu's father and chatted with him with a smile. Soon, these talented students from M University finished visiting the martial arts hall and started their classes under the guidance of Wu Jiangtao. In addition to Wu Jiangtao, there were also a group of senior brothers and sisters from the martial arts school who gave these talented students very practical advice. The students were eagerly absorbing these valuable experiences and teachings and were cheering with joy. The department head, who was also present at the scene, looked at this small martial arts hall and found that in addition to Wu Jiangtao, there were actually 2 other people who were suspected to be star masters. The more he looked, the more frightened he became, and his heart was filled with shock. The martial arts community in Province M is both big and small. This is because in the early years, in coastal provinces like Province M, not only poor families went out to seek more opportunities, but also those martial arts masters went out, and their influence spread to the developed coastal areas in the north of the southern continent. Therefore, the martial arts world in Province M seems to be limited to one province in the country, but in fact it has a great influence on the south. Therefore, many people in the martial arts circle of Province M know a master like Wu Ba. But even though they knew about it, those in the martial arts circle who had not reached Wu Ba's level often could not imagine what kind of disciples a master like him had. Now they finally saw it. It turned out that the star-level masters, who were rarely seen among thousands of people in the outside world, seemed to be able to be mass-produced here. Including Wu Jiangtao, there were actually 3 of them. Well, early this morning, Yuan Huang and the members of the Tiger Roar team also came. He is also Wu Ba's disciple. The talented students of the M University's martial arts department were fascinated to listen to many senior masters who were rarely seen on weekdays sharing their martial arts practice experiences and various unique methods of using energy. They all felt that they could not digest it. Unconsciously, the time came to 11 o'clock and almost 12 o'clock. Chapter 274, Daily Life. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Goo boom 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 tilde tilde. Amid the rumble of thunder, the students suddenly realized that they were starving. Guests are welcome. Today, the martial arts hall specially invited a professional chef from the village to come to the hall to cook a feast. 2 tables were set up to invite students from M University and members of the Tiger Roar team to have dinner. Well, the lunch was very sumptuous, and everyone enjoyed it very much. The department head also sat at the same table with Wu Zhanyang very happily. While eating, he asked this senior about the qualifications and potential of his students. In this regard, Wu Dad did not hide anything and said frankly that every child has infinite potential and that we cannot look at them with a certain certainty from the beginning. Each of these young children is very malleable, and what they lack is never physical qualifications or potential evaluation, but the stimulation of their personal character. He was straightforward and said that the mind is the foundation and blood is the supplement. What these students present lacked was not the training of strength or any verbal judgment and praise, but they needed to let them walk out of their own mind and nature. True. With these words, Father Wu has clearly stated the essence of the Wu family's Xinyiquan. Unfortunately, although the head of the martial arts department of M University beside him kept nodding and seemed to understand, he was actually confused. Nature. Should we start with how these children behave in society? Come out of your own heart and mind to be truthful. What does this truth mean? Sincerity or something else? The department head had a calm expression, but he was confused, but he couldn't ask directly. Wu Dad glanced at him and saw through that this fellow could not understand what he said, so he said lightly, "A grown-up is one who does not lose his childlike innocence." The department head was slightly stunned and looked over with some confusion. It was the first time he heard this sentence from Mencius, and he didn't quite understand it, but he heard it with a pure heart. Oh, I see. It means to let them have a pure heart, right? Yes, but not entirely. There was a hint of disappointment in Wu Dad's eyes. It was obvious that the head of the martial arts department of the university only understood Mencius's words about innocence, but did not understand that the word, not lose, was the core of this sentence. When you go back, you can study Mencius's teachings and understand the true meaning of what he said. Then you will naturally know how to help them. Having said this, Father Wu did not say anything else. Instead, he turned around and looked at the students sitting at another table with his son. What a pity, they are all energetic, talented, and gifted children, but they have not been able to grow up in an environment that suits them. As a result, they are already in their 20s and have not been able to get over the hurdle of developing whole strength. As the times march forward, most people in this historical torrent are secular, smooth, and utilitarian. This is not only in society, but also affects people and things in all aspects, just like what the dean said at the beginning. There were things like the department's martial arts training indicators, the body's muscle and bone assessment index, the comprehensive quality assessment, and big data analysis. Wu Zhanyang frowned slightly when he heard these. In his opinion, all these indicators and indexes used on students, as well as big data analysis, are bullshit. Since ancient times, Chinese people have not even believed in God, and now they will not be superstitious about such external things judging individuals. These so-called data are nothing more than the products of commercial operations in the current martial arts competition circle. They are various data designated by capitalized operations to give confidence to the financial market. Only these can support the game of gambling in the ocean of capital. And Wu Ba knows deeply that for a martial artist, if he cannot understand his own nature and cannot truly walk his own path of martial arts, all of this will be in vain. Everything is within me. This is the origin of the Wu family Xinyi Quan method, which also comes from a sentence in Mencius, which means that the principles of all things in heaven and earth can be reflected in me. My heart is self-sufficient, so why should I ask for anything else? Although this is the essence of Chinese philosophical thought for thousands of years, the paths of practice all have the same goal. The practice of martial arts not only includes the unity of man and nature from Taoism, the Confucianism of daring to be the first in the world, but also the Buddhist practice of saving the world. No matter which school or genre in the martial arts world, it is all included. For example, Wu family Xinyiquan is deeply influenced by Mencius's thoughts on benevolence and righteousness. After lunch, the students stayed in the lounge on the second floor of the martial arts hall and learned meditation from a senior brother in the hall. At the same time, they could rest their bodies and replenish their energy. After dinner, Wu Jiantao went home. Daodu Mio Mio tilde call me daddy tilde. As soon as he walked into the house, he saw two cute little angels, flapping their short legs and strolling in the yard, while Chen Jun and Wu Ma were standing by and watching them. Are you back? Hearing the voice, Chen Jun immediately looked up, with a hint of surprise in his bright eyes. I thought you would stay at the martial arts hall at noon. No, I asked senior brother 5 to help guide the students. Walking into the courtyard, Wu Jiantao looked at her and the two little ones with a doting face. How was the morning? It's okay, they slept for a long time. They may not go to bed until late in the afternoon. Let them walk around and play for a while to burn off some energy. As we were talking here, my sister Daodu turned around and walked out of the door on her own. Hey sister, don't go out. There are so many cars coming and going outside. Before the couple made any move, Wu Ma had brought the kid back. The kid was tugging at Grandma's hand with an unhappy look on his face, expressing his dissatisfaction with her forcing him back. On the other side, Mio Mio was very curious and climbed up the table in the courtyard, stretching out her chubby little hands to try to grab the teapot on it. Be careful with this heat, brother. Chen Jun took a step forward with an angry look and moved the thing inside so that he couldn't touch it. Mio Mio turned around and looked at his mother with his big dark eyes. He opened his mouth and called out a few times, as if he was saying something, but only he knew what this alien-like language meant. This is the current situation of raising children. Even if the house is well tidy and some corners of the tables and chairs are covered to prevent the little ones from bumping into them when they fall, even so, some actions with a high risk factor for them still need to be prevented in advance, especially like a teapot with boiling water on the table. Be careful not to let them sneak out of the house. Chapter 275. Chatting, please subscribe and vote. As Daodu and Mio Mio grew up, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun began to fully realize that when children are full of energy, they really cannot rest for a moment. At this time, adults need someone to watch them. If there is really no one around, they can just carry the baby on their backs and then do their work with peace of mind. Like in 903, when Chen Jun was busy with work at the Research Institute and Wu Jiantao was about to do housework, the baby woke up. At this time, there was no way for the two of them to have someone come to watch over them, so they simply carried one on their backs and continued to work. There is no other way. The baby is still too young. It is still dangerous to leave him in the playhouse and let him flutter around. Although the design of the playhouse has tried to avoid various dangerous situations, it would be very dangerous if the baby suddenly ran out of the playhouse and touched and grabbed things in the living room. By the way, Xiaoshan called me yesterday and told me that she and Xiao Wang would get married on National Day. It's so fast. When the family was having lunch, Wu Ma suddenly said something. But it's okay this way. Xiao Huang is not young anymore and Xiao Shan seems to be 30 years old too. She looked at Chen Jun. Yes, she's exactly 30 this year. Ahem. Hearing this, Wu Ma frowned slightly. At this age, for Xiaoshan, it will be very dangerous for her to get pregnant or give birth after marriage, and her body will recover very slowly. It's not very dangerous, but quite dangerous, because she knows that although Li Xiaoshan loves to eat, she is very concerned about her body shape and figure. She works out and runs regularly, and her physical fitness has always been very good. Especially since I started practicing tantric yoga this year, my physical fitness has improved a lot. But this is not enough for having a baby. Some people may say that nowadays, medical science is advanced and cesarean sections are possible, so there is no such thing as difficult births as in the old days. But the person who said this is simply talking without any consideration and has no idea how much harm giving birth to a baby does to a woman's body in this day and age. Many girls in their 20s have no idea about this, and some even choose cesarean sections because they are afraid of pain. Not to mention the problem of being stabbed. Just the anesthetic needle injected into the cervical vertebra can cause great harm to the body. Perhaps from the perspective of Western medicine, we can use some professional terms, such as the puncture process will cause skin, subcutaneous, muscle, and ligament soft tissue damage, often accompanied by waist pain. It takes time to recover, and the pain will gradually ease after the soft tissue recovers, etc. Western medicine will tell you that there is no necessary causal relationship between lower back pain and the anesthetic injection. Maybe there is, but it is hard to say whether there is scientific evidence. Because from the perspective of Western medicine, if you cut a person apart, the skin is skin, the muscles are muscles, and the cartilage is cartilage. As for why the back pain still remains even though the tissues and organs were repaired in just a few days, Western medicine cannot interfere. Especially at this time, because the mother needs to breastfeed, it cannot be controlled by medication and can only be recovered through physical therapy and lying down. However, the problem that makes most mothers who have had cesarean sections extremely painful is that whenever it rains in the future, they will inevitably suffer from migraines, back pain, leg pain, and in severe cases, even body numbness. Yes, this is what Chinese traditional medicine has been talking about since ancient times. For most postpartum mothers, this disease is like a ghost. The most important thing is that this disease will become more and more serious as you get older. The various symptoms it brings will make you unable to move freely and even have difficulty walking normally. It is said in ancient times that diseases contracted during the confinement period can be cured during the confinement period. This does not mean that they can be cured during the confinement period after the next birth, but that diseases contracted during the confinement period can only be cured during the confinement period. It is also a rumor that the disease cannot be cured after the confinement period. It will take longer to treat postpartum illnesses outside the confinement period because the tendons, bones, and pores have already closed, and the wind and cold have already been trapped in the body. However, as long as the cause is found and targeted treatment is given, a complete cure is likely. In some more traditional places, during the confinement period, they will cook some very irritating foods such as scrambled eggs with ginger and stir-fried pigeon meat in order to eliminate the coldness in the mother's body. Many mothers who had cesarean sections do not understand these eating habits during the confinement period. They are more resistant and do not know how to treat them. They just follow the elders' requirements not to blow the wind, touch water, or turn on the air conditioner, and they must not eat raw or cold food, etc. However, most people don't realize that anesthetic injection was the most typical example of cold and dampness entering the body in traditional Chinese medicine, and it penetrated deep into the bone marrow. This is only one aspect. Other issues include rectus abdominis separation and pelvic floor muscle repair. These are the inevitable result of the mother's belly being expanded as the fetus grows. It usually takes at least half a year to fully recover. It is good if only these problems occur after delivery. If a mother is not careful and does not take good care of the baby, it will be more troublesome. Various accompanying diseases will come in droves. I will not go into details. For example, when Chen Jun was in confinement last year, Wu Jiantao made some food that was both warming and cold relieving at the reminder of his grandfather, but that was not enough. He also used moxibustion to help his wife eliminate the damp and cold evil spirits hidden deep in her marrow. After she left the confinement period, he gave her physical therapy every day by giving her pedicures and foot massages. Only now has Chen Jun fully recovered in just half a year, and her body is so slim that she doesn't look like a woman who just gave birth to a baby. That's right, during the confinement period, the mother's body needs to recover urgently, and she cannot take medicine, but she can use a variety of traditional Chinese medicine treatments such as diet, moxibustion, acupuncture, and massage to regulate her body. At the dinner table, Wu Ma spoke these to Chen Jun earnestly and finally said, Xiaojun, if you have time, ask Xiaoshan to come over and let the old man take a look at her and take care of her body. Getting married and having children is not a trivial matter. Okay, I'll remember that. Chen Jun nodded very solemnly, then turned around and glanced at her husband. Thinking back to what Wu Jiantao did when I was in confinement last year, I had always thought that this was just to keep myself healthy, but I didn't expect that he was actually treating my confinement sickness. After dinner, Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao cleaned up the table, washed the dishes, and took the two little ones back to the room. Well, although it's past the white dew, September in the south is still very hot. The two little ones are sweaty and sticky, and their clothes are wet. They need to be washed and changed. Chapter 276 Chairs, Beds and Fences. Please subscribe and vote for the monthly ticket tilde. After wiping the two little guys' bodies and changing them into dry clothes, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun turned on the air conditioner and started playing with the two little guys on the bed in the room. While playing, something went wrong. My sister Daodu insisted on getting out of bed. Daodu, mommy said, don't get out of bed. Chen Jun grabbed her sister, who had slipped to the edge of the bed and was about to run under the bed, and carried her back into the bed. It's time to get ready for bed. Where are you going? Wow. The little guy can't speak yet, but the expression on his face clearly shows that the baby just wants to get out of bed, and he will be unhappy if he is not allowed to. Hold it back, slip out, hold it back and slip out. After 2 or 3 times, Xiao Daodu realized for the first time what it meant to be powerless. Her mouth drooped, her big eyes slowly turned red, her little chest heaved, and she burst into tears. Mommy is naughty, daddy is stinky. Wu Jiantao, who was lying on the side and playing happily with his brother Daodu, turned around and looked over with a look on his face. Did I provoke you? She just had to get out of bed. Chen Jun felt a little amused and angry, and complained to her husband about Xiao Daodu's misbehavior. Be good, don't cry. Mommy is naughty, Daodu. Why do you want to get out of bed? Come tell daddy. Wu Jiantao glanced at his wife and gradually realized that she seemed to get anxious and angry easily when there was a little trouble when getting along with the two little ones. For this reason, he also tactfully reminded her several times. You are the bad ones. She kicked Wu Jiantao in the stomach in a scolding tone and snorted. Look, now when the two little ones get upset, they say something like, bad mommy. Wu Jiantao, are you doing this on purpose? Same here, didn't you also call them, Baba stinky stinky? Someone refused to give in and bit back. No, it wasn't a bite back, it was a legitimate counterattack. I'm repaying you with an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, Chen Jun snorted. Snort. Wu Jiantao deliberately imitated her and turned around to look after Xiao Daodu, but found that she wanted to get out of bed for some reason, so he simply sat up to see what she wanted to do. Zwoosh. The little guy came to the edge of the bed again, got off the bed very smoothly, and then fluttered his 2 short legs to the table in the room, stretching out his little hand to reach for a bag of potato chips on it. This is Chen Jun's snack at home. Well, speaking of this, she is like most girls, a little greedy, and always likes to put some snacks in her room at home. Whether she is working or relaxing and browsing her phone, she can have some and feel comfortable. When she eats, the two little ones are usually around. When they see their mom eating, they will naturally ask for some. It is obvious that the little sister is impressed by the taste of the potato chips and wants to pick them up and eat them herself. Wu Jiantao was speechless and turned to look at his wife, only to see her big, round eyes turn to the side vaguely. When I was eating in the morning, they asked me for it. As for whether to give snacks to the baby, the couple has reached a consensus that snacks are allowed, such as hawthorn, biscuits, dried fruits, etc., or fruits are the best. As for high-calorie, heavy-tasting fried foods like potato chips, try not to give them to the little ones. On the other side, brother Myomio also saw what his sister was doing and crawled to the edge of the bed, his big black eyes also staring at his sister. Apparently, he also remembered the delicious food he had eaten in the morning. Chen Jun couldn't stand the look in her husband's eyes anymore and said angrily, "Okay, I was wrong, isn't that enough?" At the desk under the bed, my sister had successfully taken the bag of potato chips that was placed on the edge of the table. She just kept tearing the packaging, but couldn't open it. The little girl angrily threw the bag of chips away, and the brother got out of bed, walked to his sister, babbled something, and then reached out to take the bag of chips. Duh. Xiao Myomio came to her mother with the potato chips and handed them to her. Chen Jun couldn't help but blush and felt a little guilty. Mom, eat. The two little guys came over at the same time, and they didn't call mommy as bad, but mom in a soft and sweet voice. Seeing Chen Jun giving him a reproachful look, Wu Jiantao understood and came over to take the bag of potato chips. You've finished all of this. There's nothing left to eat. The two little guys stared with eager eyes, and their mouths drooped at the same time, and they were about to cry. Chen Jun came over and picked up the two little guys. Stinky Daddy, ignore him. Let's eat Nanai. At this time, the only way to divert the attention of the two little ones is to feed them. Sure enough, as soon as she said this, Daodu and Mio immediately stopped making any noise. Each took a side and started eating happily. Actually, the baby's milk supply is almost weaned. I'll go buy some stage 2 formula later. Wu Jiantao sat back on the bed, lay down lazily, and yawned. At noon, he ate 5 bowls of rice, including fish, meat, and vegetables. Now sleepiness sets in. After eating some milk, the two little guys felt a little sleepy. The eyelids of their big eyes drooped up and down, and soon closed, without the noisy look just now. Chen Jun looked at the two in her arms. Her eyebrows could not help but slightly curved, and she leaned over to kiss each of them lovingly. Someone next to him hadn't fallen asleep yet, and he came over after smelling the scent. I want one too. Go, go, go. Chen Jun pushed the guy who was trying to kiss her face aside with a scolding look. Go to sleep. I still have work to do in the afternoon. Stop making trouble. Oops. Someone turned around carelessly and bumped his forehead against the bed railing, screaming miserably. Chen Jun had seen through someone's trick long ago and did not fall for it again. He put the babies in place and covered them with small quilts, then turned around and walked over to the computer desk in the room. Hey, didn't you see me? I bumped into this. Someone protested, patting the bed rail. I see the fence is not broken. Chen Jun was very calm and said without turning his head. What do you mean the fence is not broken? Shouldn't you care about me, your husband? You, even if your brain was stuck in the door, I would only check if the door was damaged by you. Wu Jiantao stood up, came over, forced Chen Jun aside and sat on the chair to protest. Okay, get up, I have to work. Chen Jun asked him to get up with a scolding look. Soon the two reconciled, and she and Wu Jiantao sat back on their chairs. It is possible for two people to sit on one office chair without feeling crowded. After a while, perhaps because Wu Jiantao's forehead had just hit the fence of the bed, Chen Jun came over to help check. It's indeed a bit broken. The fence always creaks when you hold it. Needs to be fixed. Chapter 277, Afternoon Time. Please subscribe and vote. Before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Wu Jiantao walked out of the house with a full head of steam. When he walked under the big banyan tree, he seemed to sense something. He turned around and looked at his own building. Chen Jun was standing at the window of his room on the second floor, looking at him. He smiled gently and waved to his wife. Snored. Chen Jun on the other side couldn't help but rolled his eyes and waved his white fist at him. How awesome. Wu Jiantao laughed, turned around and strode towards Wushan. Although he might not personally attend the students' tutorial classes in the afternoon, as a professor and mentor, he still had to be present. In their room on the second floor at the back, Chen Jun looked at the receding figure and gritted his teeth, thinking it was his own fault. Why can't I stand it? Cough, cough. Thinking of this, a thrilling blush appeared on her face again. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Chen Jun hurried over to open the door, only to see Wu Ma standing outside with a bowl of soup. Mom! At noon, Jiang Tao asked me to see a pot of red mushroom and black chicken soup he cooked. Come, I'll pour you a bowl to nourish your body. You need to nourish your body, otherwise your yoga practice will be in vain. Oh, thanks, Mom. Chen Jun took the bowl of black chicken soup with some surprise. The aroma of black chicken meat and mushrooms immediately aroused her appetite. Then drink this bowl of soup and don't work too hard. Make sure to get more rest. Mother Wu looked at the faint blush on her daughter-in-law's face, said something meaningful, and then left. What? Something seems strange. Chen Jun held the bowl of hot soup and sat down at the desk. Suddenly, a light bulb went off in her head, and she understood the meaningful smile on her mother-in-law's face. Whoa, dying. She couldn't help but hold her face, and her whole pretty face, even her ears, turned red, full of embarrassment. Boom! Unable to resist stamping his feet, Chen Jun kept complaining bitterly about someone's excessive consumption at noon. After a while, the heat on his face finally subsided, but the soup in front of him was still steaming. Never mind. She picked up the small ladle of soup, took a sip, and immediately her eyes lit up. It's really fragrant and fresh, with the aroma of black-boned chicken and the sweetness of red mushroom. Well, it's worthy of being the soup made by my husband, this taste. Brush, brush, brush. Chen Jun finished the small bowl of red mushroom and black chicken soup in no time. The black chicken meat in the soup was not tough at all, and the skin and the meat together were really soft and tasty. After drinking this small bowl, I felt my stomach suddenly warm. Still want to eat. Picking up the bowl and standing up, she looked back at the two little ones who were sleeping soundly on the bed, then looked in the small mirror on the dressing table beside her. Seeing that the expression on her face had returned to normal, she went out with peace of mind. After going down the stairs, Chen Jun saw Wu's mother standing on a cushion in the living room with her eyebrows downcast. As for Wu's father, he didn't seem to be at home. Coming down. Hearing the noise, Wu Ma didn't move, but looked over and said something with a smile. Thinking about what happened just now, Chen Jun nodded shyly. There's still a big pot of that red mushroom and black chicken soup. Let's go drink another bowl and eat more. Good. She walked lightly through the living room and went to the kitchen outside, where she served another bowl of soup and 1 or 2 pieces of black bone chicken. Suddenly, Chen Jun seemed to have thought of something, turned around and walked a few steps to the living room and came to the door. Mom, I'll serve you a bowl too. Mother Wu felt a warm feeling in her heart, and she turned slightly to nod at this kind-hearted girl. Okay. Sometimes a family's life lies in these small details. Only when you care about people in your heart and understand how to care about them can you truly enjoy life. Just like Chen Jun's behavior, although there is nothing wrong with just serving yourself, this question just now made Wu Ma feel warm in her heart, and she also felt relieved. It was just a simple sentence, but it made both of them happy. This is life. After a while, Wu Ma finished her standing meditation, came out of the living room and sat down at the dining table under the sunshade in the courtyard. On the table was a bowl of black chicken soup that her daughter-in-law had served her, still steaming. Chen Jun was still sitting on the other side of the table, sipping her bowl of soup. It's delicious. Wu Ma sat down and took a sip, her face full of satisfaction and praise. I really don't know what's wrong with that kid's cooking skills. How come it's so good all of a sudden, this taste? I've been thinking about it many times, but every time I make this soup at home, I can't get this taste. Chen Jun nodded. Indeed, her husband's cooking skills were amazing. After drinking the soup, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law sat in the yard and chatted for a while. It was quite relaxing and happy, but Chen Jun soon went back to her room. No way. She had just been delayed by someone for nearly an hour, and she had to hurry up and finish today's work tasks, otherwise she would miss her afternoon yoga class. However, the big data calculation task given by the Research Institute was very simple for Chen Jun. It took her only half an hour to complete it. After reviewing it, she sent the data to her colleagues at the Research Institute. After stretching, Chen Jun let out a long breath and looked at the time displayed on the computer. It was almost 4:30. Fortunately, there is still some time to practice tantric yoga. She laid out a mat in the room, sat on it and closed her eyes, and began her afternoon tantric yoga practice with simple movements. On the other side, Wu Jiantao also finished today's teaching class and the seminar with his team colleagues. Professor Wu, you have entered the main competition of the world's #1 martial arts competition. Your reputation in the martial arts circles at home and abroad has greatly increased. Recently, people may come to challenge you one after another. You have to be careful about this matter, because there may be masters among the challengers. Before leaving, the head of the martial arts department reminded him. Wu Jiantao was stunned, and after thinking about it carefully, it seemed to be true. The department head also kindly advised him that he could set up some tests and thresholds in his own martial arts school so that there wouldn't be too many people. Otherwise, anyone could come and challenge him, which would be very annoying. As they were talking here, an extremely tall figure appeared from the direction of the martial arts hall's gate, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, and an astonishing aura. May I ask if Wu Jiantao is here? With a loud shout, the sound like a huge bell spread throughout the martial arts hall. Immediately, fellow disciples who were practicing in the martial arts hall came out one after another. Chapter 278, Injured. Please subscribe and vote tilde. Originally, with his tall stature, big eyes and thick eyebrows, the aura of this man standing in front of the martial arts hall was quite astonishing. But when the masters of the martial arts hall came out one after another, especially when Wu Dad came out of the door with a calm expression. The sweaty man. Shit, master, this martial arts school doesn't seem to be a small, unknown martial arts school as you said. Is it really okay for you to cheat your own apprentice like this? I am Wu Jiantao, and you are. Wu Jiantao also came out and stood in front of the man. Forehead. The other party opened his mouth, but under the gaze of the experts, he was almost speechless. This man came to Wu Zhanyang very respectfully, introduced himself, and politely expressed his intention to challenge Wu Jiantao. Well, this guy is actually also a star master, but his physical fitness is not as good as Wu Jiantao's, and even worse than Bill in the previous game. As soon as he started fighting, he was crushed by Wu Jiantao and couldn't even last a round of competition. Watching Wu Jiantao fighting on the TV screen, he felt just like that, but when he really started fighting, he clearly felt the majestic and terrifying domineering power of this genius, who was said to be one in a million. This is not something that humans can have. What a pervert. The competition was over. He secretly complained in his heart, but he could only turn around and walk away in shame. After walking a few steps away, the man couldn't help but look back, only to see the genius young man who had just defeated him standing in front of a huge rock. What did he want to do? He stopped involuntarily and looked back, only to see Wu Jiantao, who was not far away, bent down, reached into the bottom of the rock with one hand and lifted it up suddenly. The overlord lifts the tripod. The next moment, everyone at the scene, including Wu's father, was stunned to see that Wu Jiantao had actually lifted up this huge rock with just one hand. Although it is unclear how heavy this huge rock, which is half a person's height and requires 2 or 3 people to surround, it must weigh several hundred kilograms. This guy boasted that he was born with great strength, and that his martial arts had even reached the realm of whole strength and circle. At most, he felt that he could only lift it with his hands. But Wu Jiantao lifted it up with just one hand, and not just for a moment, but held it up steadily. This power, apart from the burst of strength that occurs when lifting up at the beginning, the holding up afterwards, is a complete display of powerful arm strength. In this regard, perhaps even Wu Dad can't hold on with one hand. In terms of fighting ability, his own son could easily crush the kid to death with one hand, but even this dignified head of a museum could not hold up the boy after lifting him up. Wu Jiantao's face turned slightly red, and his body became extremely heavy. He held up the huge rock with one hand and walked towards the gate of the martial arts hall. Boom! When he got closer to the gate, he saw him drop it heavily on the ground, creating a big hole in the bottom of the red soil. From a distance, the man who had just challenged and was crushed by one move could still hear Wu Jiantao saying to his fellow disciples, "If anyone challenges me in the future, as long as he can lift this huge rock with both hands and walk 7 steps, he can challenge me." The man here turned pale. What the hell is this monster? Also, if there is really someone who can do what you just did, I'm afraid they wouldn't have enough energy to challenge you, right? Just as he was thinking this, he heard Wu Jiantao continue. After completing this, he can choose the time of the challenge himself. I will allow him to rest well and challenge me in the best condition. In fact, it's not just this. Just now, Wu Jiantao specially asked a junior fellow disciple in the sect to record himself lifting the huge rock with one hand. If any master who comes to challenge him is not convinced, he will show them the video. By the way, he also told his junior fellow apprentice not to post this short video online to avoid unnecessary trouble. In the evening, Wu Ma saw the video at the dinner table and was also stunned. Curious Chen Jun got her husband's phone and saw it, and was a little scared. "You didn't sprain it." Wu Ma looked at her son with some suspicion. He was holding up such a huge rock with just his right hand. The load would be too heavy for his arms and even his body. It would easily break his bones. "No." Wu Jiantao shook his head. Just when he was eating at home happily and showing off, his grandfather came. "Grandfather." Seeing the old man coming to find him, Wu Jiantao was a little confused. The old man came up and looked him up and down with a serious face. "I watched the video you made this afternoon. Sit down, let me check your body." "Grandpa, I feel fine." Snort. The old man groaned, ignored him, and started to feel his pulse. First the right hand, then the left hand. Wu Jiantao, Wu's father and Wu's mother were a little confused, but the old man shook his head gently. "Boy, do you think you are fine just because you feel fine, huh?" His judgment was correct. Although Wu Jiantao's bones, muscles, and tendons were fine after the outburst in the afternoon, his internal organs were seriously injured by the sudden explosion of qi and blood. But then Grandpa Wu reached out his hand and gently tapped Wu Jiantao on the left side of his chest. Wu Jiantao immediately frowned and let out a muffled groan. "Brat, your muscles and bones may be able to withstand an explosion that exceeds your physical limits, but your relatively fragile internal organs are very likely to be injured. Before you enter the inner realm, you won't be able to detect many subtle injuries yourself." Wu Jiantao belatedly rubbed his chest, but it did not help at all. It felt like scratching an itch through a shoe. The old man took out the silver needle he brought with him and stabbed it directly into his grandson's chest. Boy, next time don't do such stupid actions that exceed your limits. Although this injury will not cause you much trouble, it will definitely affect your performance in the next game and even affect your martial arts practice in the future. Yes, I remember it. The grandson was scolded and had no choice but to accept it. There was no way, if the old man hadn't discovered through the video that the flush on Wu Jiantao's face after he relaxed was not right, he would definitely not have gone far in the future when he participated in the world's #1 martial arts competition. Even though this hidden injury did not cause much loss in his strength, the masters he would meet in competitions of this level would be able to compete with him for the victory or defeat. If he just participated like this, he would definitely not go far. Don't do high-intensity practice these 2 days. You can practice more of the secret Tibetan yoga, which can regulate your internal organs very well. Yes. Chapter 279. Fire, please subscribe and vote. Over the next few days, Wu Jiantao finally calmed down, and the fence around the bed in the room was repaired all of a sudden, no longer making any squeaking noises at night or during the day. Under the guidance of Grandpa Wu, he took care of himself for a few days and cured the hidden injury in his lungs. He became full of energy again. As soon as they recovered, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun took the baby and set off back to City F. Before leaving, Grandpa Wu handed him a book with a yellowed cover that looked very old. Xiao Tao, come here, take this book. When Wu's father saw the book, he was startled and wanted to say something to his father, but the old man just waved his hand without even looking at him. Wu Jiantao naturally sensed that something was wrong with the atmosphere, and even his mother looked a little shocked. Grandpa, this is. When I took it and looked at it, I saw that the cover page was written with Wu Family Medical Outline Record. When I opened it, I saw that it was a record of the various experiences of the Wu family ancestors in medicine, or the analysis and summary of some difficult and complicated diseases. He instinctively wanted to refuse, but he saw old man Wu waving his hands. Xiao Tao, your grandfather is incompetent and failed to leave a medical summary that surpasses that of our ancestors in this medical summary. But Wu Jiantao knew his own medical skills very well, not to mention the old man. Even ordinary Chinese medicine practitioners were much better than him. At most, he knew moxibustion and acupuncture, and he had almost no experience in Chinese medicine. He just remembered that his grandfather forced him to memorize some herbs when he was a child. The old man did not say anything, but asked Wu Jiantao to flip through one of the notes. He saw that the first sentence at the beginning of the note read, "Inner evidence is the key. Internal evidence." He looked up in astonishment and then saw the old man smiling bitterly and saying, "That's right, only those who have reached the inner realm are qualified to leave their own experiences on it. How difficult is it for a normal person to achieve the inner realization realm? Let me put it this way. A person who has entered the realm of a grandmaster is not necessarily a master who has achieved inner realization, but a person who has achieved inner realization must be a grandmaster in martial arts." That's right, there is a word in martial arts novels for internal evidence in traditional Chinese medicine called inner vision or introspection. Of course, inner evidence is not inner vision, nor is it as magical as inner vision, but it is already beyond the imagination of ordinary people. It can use the body as a circle of heavenly organs to observe and study the universe, the human body, patients, diseases, drugs, and the relationship between the four. How magical is inner evidence? The effects and efficacy of Chinese medicines, meridians, acupoints, and various herbs on the human body are undoubtedly the discoveries and results of Chinese medicine's internal evidence. Why is it that although Mr. Wu is a master of medicine, he is not qualified to leave his handwriting on the medical code handed down in his family? Without internal evidence, everything is just speculation and inference. No matter how brilliant the theoretical basis of the inference is, and there are treatment cases to support it, it will not work. Only with inner experience can one see the fundamental mystery of the human body with one's own flesh and blood, and only then can one see the mystery of the human body that applies to everyone. Chinese medicine started with Shennong, who tasted hundreds of herbs to achieve inner experience and created Chinese herbal medicine. Then, for thousands of years, generations of practitioners who achieved inner experience used themselves as a tool to explore the meridians in the body and the acupuncture points on the skin and pores of the whole body, and the entire Chinese medicine treatment system. Only through inner experience can one objectively observe and understand the changes in one's body and mind, feel the various effects of the universe, yin and yang, and the 5 elements on the body, and truly and accurately feel. Not only the sun, but also the moon and the 5 planets are transmitting energy into our bodies. For example, the red particles transported by Mars enter the human heart, and the black particles transported by Mercury enter the kidneys. All the internal organs of the human body rely on these particles to maintain normal operation. These are recorded in the notes of our ancestors and are invaluable treasures. Nowadays, there are still grandmasters in the entire Chinese martial arts world, but no one has been able to achieve this inner proof for 100 years. Only when there are people who can achieve inner evidence can Chinese medicine be further developed. And the fastest way to achieve inner evidence is not to learn medical skills, but to practice martial arts. This is also the fundamental reason why Chinese medicine and martial arts are inseparable. Obviously, the reason why Grandpa Wu gave Wu Jiantao this Wu family medical outline record in advance was not to pass on the Wu family's most core medical skills, but because he saw the possibility that his grandson would break the situation in which no one in China had achieved inner proof in the past 100 years. Otherwise, the old man should have passed it to Wu Ba when it was 100 years old. When leaving, Wu Jiantao knelt down solemnly and kowtowed to the old man with the notebook in his hand. Under the old man's eager eyes, he carefully put away the family medical book, turned around, got in the car, and drove away from his hometown. During the trip, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun were silent for a rare moment. The two little kids didn't notice the wrong atmosphere and continued to babble and giggle. More than an hour later, the family of 4 returned to their home in Yunlu Garden. As soon as they returned to 903, Daodu and Maomeo woke up and got off their parents excitedly and rushed to the playhouse impatiently. The brother picked up his favorite whack-a-mole toy and started smacking the hamster, while the sister nimbly climbed to the second floor of the playhouse and slid down the slide with a swish sound. At the entrance, the couple who were still changing their slippers were speechless. As she was changing her shoes, Chen Jun suddenly said, "You didn't say much just now. Is it that medical book that puts a lot of pressure on you?" Wu Jiantao pursed his lips. That was the legendary realm of inner realization. There were countless legends about this realm in the Chinese martial arts world. It was rumored that practitioners who reached this realm could see through the void, see the indestructible gods, and even achieve such incredible realms as the cicadas wake up before autumn comes. Perhaps he would have a chance to become a grandmaster in his lifetime, but he really did not have much confidence in this realm of inner realization that not many people had been able to achieve throughout history. Actually, you don't need to be too stressed. Just do your best and have a clear conscience. If you are too stressed because of this, your mentality will be unbalanced. Chen Jun offered some words of comfort. He let out a long breath and said with a bitter smile, "I know, but knowing is one thing, and being able to treat it calmly is another." "Never mind. Don't want to think about it anymore." Wu Jiantao shook his head and looked at the two little guys who were having fun in the living room. "Let's first think about how to get them to their room and let them take a nap." Forehead. Chen Jun was stunned. Chapter 280. Understanding. Please subscribe and vote. Well, the two little guys really made a scene when they went back to their room to sleep. They refused to go back and made a lot of noise. Among them, the younger sister Daodu just wanted to play on the slide. Even if she was forcibly taken back to the room, she would immediately climb out of the baby bed and run to the game house in the living room. As for the older brother Maomeo, he kept holding the whack-a-mole game disc and hammer and refused to let go. Wu Jiantao was fine, but Chen Jun was so angry at their efforts that he even said he should just tear down the game house. In desperation, she could only open the warehouse and release the grain. The reason she didn't do this at the beginning was that she was thinking about weaning them. She wanted to gradually reduce the number of times they fed on the breast so that they would be weaned soon. But looking at the current situation, it seems that weaning still has a long way to go. Lying on their mother's arms, one on each side, they drank milk. The older brother, who was relatively well behaved, had already fallen into a deep sleep, but the younger sister was the only one who was still trying hard to open her eyes. Chen Jun couldn't help but roll his eyes. Wu Jiantao, who was standing beside him, took the little guy very skillfully and walked him around the room twice. Sister Daodu soon fell asleep. Zai. Call. Chen Jun stretched out his hand and fanned his face. Then he let out a long sigh, and his anxious mood finally calmed down. Turning her head, the mother, who was no longer a novice, looked at the two sleeping babies. As she watched, she suddenly looked up at Wu Jiantao with some discomfort. "What should I do? Husband, I find that when facing Daodu and Maomeo's mischief, I have been unable to control my emotions and get easily carried away." "Actually, you don't need to worry too much." Wu Jiantao had actually realized this problem a long time ago and had reminded her many times, but Chen Jun would easily become emotional when facing Daodu and Maomeo. especially when the two little troublemakers are disobedient. In fact, they simply cannot understand what the adults say and just act according to their own instincts and wishes. As a father and a mother, they actually have a consensus on this matter, so there is no need to be angry. Just deal with it as it should be. Just like the situation just now. Even though the child is unwilling, I still have to carry him to the room to sleep. Because the two babies have now formed a relatively stable schedule, they cannot be easily disrupted. As for the trouble of tossing and turning after bringing them in, just pick them up, coax them, and walk around the room a few times. After walking around in each other's arms for a few rounds, they soon fell asleep. Seeing Chen Jun so entangled, Wu Jiantao pondered for a while before choosing his words carefully. In fact, the more you dwell on what just happened, the more guilty you will feel. The more guilty you feel, the more you want to do well. But every time things go against your wishes, you will feel more guilty, and then your thoughts will enter a vicious circle. At this point, Wu Jiantao was suddenly stunned. The next moment, he looked up suddenly and saw that his wife's face was no longer anxious, but was looking at him with curved eyebrows. "Did you do this on purpose?" Wu Jiantao suddenly realized. "What else, huh?" Chen Jun lowered her chin and blinked at him. "Actually, I've figured out the emotional issues with my baby a long time ago. Although I still can't help it sometimes, I've already started to solve it." Therefore, her anxiety when facing the baby's disobedience just now was simply pretended, with the purpose of leading herself to say that sentence just now. Wu Jiantao was immediately moved and went over to hug her. "What a considerate person. What a considerate girl. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Has the hidden wound on your chest not healed yet?" "I'm fine now, I've been here for a few days." My mems. Recently, there has been a mysterious legend circulating in Yunlu Garden, saying that there is a peerless master in the garden who can save people who fall from tall buildings in midair. Those uncles and aunts all spoke very convincingly, and those who had some connections even went to ask martial arts masters how powerful the warriors were who could do this. These martial artists also gave their answers one after another, saying that only masters above the star level with profound strength can do this. The momentum of falling from a tall building is very terrifying. Even a master as strong as a star has no more than 50% chance of turning the falling adulterer into a flying target. That night, many owners living near building number 6 in the community took out their mobile phones and still captured some picture. In many short videos, people noticed a black shadow flashing in the air on the screen, crossing with the person falling from the building. Then, the person instantly changed his falling momentum, flew sideways, and landed on the crown of a big tree. It is very difficult to do this. This requires an enormous amount of physical endurance and arm strength. As for the martial arts novels, where people are rescued by using Tai Kai's powerful boxing moves, that's nonsense. If you want to achieve the goal of using only a little force to move a great object, you must weigh at least 900 kilograms. Without this foundation, the great force will only crush you into slag. Therefore, during this period of time, some young people in the community who are interested in doing good have launched a call in the homeowner group to find this peerless master who is hiding nearby. To this end, they even sought out a master of character portrayal to roughly describe what such a master should look like. What? To have such a level of martial arts, one must be quite old. The white hair and youthful face are essential, and the body must not be fat, otherwise it is impossible to jump so high. Have a well-proportioned body. As for the rest, the person must be very low-key, so that his appearance will not stand out too much. During the few days when Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun went back to their hometown, all the elderly people who met these broad conditions in Yunlaiyuan community and other residential communities next door were approached by these teenagers, and they were tested and tortured in various ways. Young people are so energetic. Well, although I don't agree with their behavior, Wu Jiantao also agrees with this word and does the same thing. Well, Wu Jiantao also agrees with this. In the afternoon, Chen Jun, who was delayed for a long time again, pinched her husband several times in annoyance, and then hurried to do the work task assigned by the research institute. Wu Jiantao turned around and went to the kitchen to start making soup to nourish his wife tonight. If you nourish your body, the effect of practicing Tibetan yoga will naturally be better. And cough. After a busy period, when Wu Jiantao returned to the room, he found that Chen Jun was already lying on the bed, fast asleep, with a light blush on her fair face that was very heartwarming. He was slightly startled. Was he too tired? It seems I need to be more careful next time. I don't know how well she completed her work today. Chapter 281, Brushing Teeth. and why tilde please subscribe and vote tilde. Bang bang bangs. It was another morning. A little bird had landed outside their bedroom window sill. It was pecking at a small black dot on the window with its sharp beak, making a harsh sound. In the room, there were a big and two small people lying together. The older one didn't seem to be woken up and was still sleeping soundly, perhaps because he had consumed too much energy yesterday afternoon. But one of the two little guys woke up immediately. A new day began for the 4-month-old little guy. Dowdu opened his big black eyes, turned over, looked around, and his eyes finally fell on his mother on the bed. Daddy is missing again. Never mind. I'll go find Mommy. Ma. She climbed up the fence of the baby crib, climbed out using her hands and feet, ran to the bedside table, pulled out one of the picture storybooks, and then came to the big bed. First put the picture storybook on the edge of the bed, then lie down on the edge of the bed, lift up your right foot and hook it up on the edge of the bed. Use both hands and right foot to exert force, and the little guy will climb onto the bed very smoothly. Soon, Xiao Dowdu came to her mother with a picture book and sat down. Mom! She called out again, but Chen Jun didn't hear her at all and was still sleeping. The little guy tilted his head to look at his mother, stretched out his hand, and gently patted her face. Mom, read. A day's plan begins in the morning. Xiao Dowdu likes to listen to her mother reading the most. She has developed the habit of asking Chen Jun to read to her every morning. Finally, Chen Jun was awakened. As soon as he opened his sleepy eyes, he saw a pair of big, blinking eyes staring at him from close to him. It's you, where's your brother? Brother? Xiao Dowdu stretched out her chubby little hand and pointed at her brother Miao, who was still sleeping soundly in the crib. Mom read the books. She took out the picture storybook she had brought with her and threw it directly into Chen Jun's face. Hey, stinky bean, let Mommy get up first. What? Now, today we are going to tell you a story about a drifting bottle. Chen Jun got up and stretched, then let Xiao Dowdu sit in his arms, and the big and small began to read and look at pictures. In less than 10 minutes, the picture storybook was finished. Under the guidance of her mother, her sister happily put the picture book back on the bedside table. Well, it was actually placed quite neatly. Come go brush your teeth with Mama. Chen Jun took Xiao Dowdu to the bathroom, took out a very cute little toothbrush, put some baby toothpaste on it, and handed it to her. Come brush your teeth with Mama. Well, the two little guys are now almost 1 week and 5 months old. The upper and lower middle teeth have grown out. Thanks to the careful care of their parents, their teeth are growing very neatly, and even the first deciduous molars on both sides have a small white spot. Chen Jun deliberately got close to Xiao Dowdu, demonstrating the correct posture and movements for brushing teeth, while teasing her daughter and laughing happily in the bathroom. Suddenly, as if she sensed something, the mother turned around and saw Miao had come to the bathroom door without her noticing. Hey, brother is awake too. Mom, brush your teeth, tilde. Little Miao ran to her mother happily and wanted to play the game too. Well, in the world of these two little babies, now everything they do is playing, reading books or picture books, brushing teeth and washing face, and they are only relatively quiet when they are eating and drinking milk. After brushing his teeth and washing his face, Chen Jun opened the warehouse and put some food in to fill his stomach, then led them out of the bedroom and into the living room. Daddy, tilde. The two little guys immediately spotted Wu Jiantao standing on the balcony and ran over immediately, and Chen Jun quickly followed. I didn't go to the playhouse, mainly because Dowdu and Miao no longer have the same novelty about it as they did at the beginning. They were so attached to the playhouse yesterday because they had been back home for more than a week and hadn't played in it for several days. Don't touch it, don't touch the apple on Daddy's body, tilde. Seeing them reaching out to take the 2 apples on Wu Jiantao's knees, Chen Jun quickly stopped them. Why? Xiao Miao raised her head and looked at her mother. Compared to Dowdu, his brother Miao seems to have better language skills. He watched some children's cartoons some time ago and learned a very sharp why. Because it belongs to Dad. Dad is practicing martial arts, you can't disturb him. Why? If you're disturbed, Dad will be angry, and when he's angry he'll spank Miao's little butt. Why? Why do you have so many whys? I told you not to touch it, so you can't touch it. Chen Jun was a little overwhelmed. Why? This is why this sentence is so sharp. In fact, I still don't understand a lot of what my parents say. But once he encounters a situation like the ones on TV where you can't do this or that, he will repeat this sentence over and over again. Chen Jun couldn't help but roll his eyes. He turned around with an upset look and went back to the living room to take out the yoga mat from the corner. He decided not to respond to the little guy's argument, otherwise it would never end. It's only 6:30, and she has morning yoga classes. In fact, both little ones got up early today, as they usually get up around 7:30 on normal days. But it doesn't matter. Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun are both there. Daodu and Mayomio can walk around and play in the living room. Chen Jun stretched her body on the yoga mat and began today's morning yoga practice. Oh. The two babies nearby were amused and came over to imitate their mother's movements, which made Chen Jun laugh. The two adults opened their eyes at the same time and paid attention to them. The one who imitated them was 70% to 80% similar to the elder brother Mayomio, while the little Daodu did not look like them at all. Zayo Mayomio followed her mother very obediently and quietly posed on the yoga mat, while Zayo Daodu moved around restlessly. After a while, she climbed up from the yoga mat and ran to the balcony. Immediately, she spread her legs, raised her fists, and ran over to imitate her father's movement. Well, she naturally behaved in a weird way here, and her knees couldn't even bend. After playing for a while, perhaps because he felt it was boring, Zayo Daodu finally lost interest. He turned around and ran to the playhouse, slipped in, climbed to the second floor, and slid down the slide with a swish. Seeing his sister start to play, brother Mayomio couldn't stay any longer. He turned over and ran to the game house to play on the slide with his sister. Chapter 282, Strolling. Please subscribe and vote. After finishing the morning practice, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun took Daodu and Mayomio to have breakfast. Because the two little ones woke up early today and drank some milk from their mother, the rice cereal for breakfast was reduced by 20% to 30%. You need to be very careful when controlling your baby's food intake. Although they are now 1 year and more than 4 months old, their spleen and stomach are still very delicate and cannot withstand the slightest stress. Nowadays, there are always many babies who suffer from various discomforts due to food accumulation. At this time, whether it is parents or grandparents, they will say, our baby caught a cold and had a fever because of poor spleen and stomach, which led to food accumulation and internal heat. This sentence is simply nonsense. What does bad spleen and stomach mean? The baby's development is already in the very initial stage, and the basic functions are very weak. Especially young babies have no self-control over eating. At this stage, parents need to observe the baby's appetite carefully and find the appropriate amount for the baby. It is better to eat less than too much at each meal. Nowadays, many grandparents who help take care of babies are always worried that the baby will not be full. They see that the baby's bowl is very small and think that it is not okay for the baby to eat so little. So whether it is porridge or rice paste, just make a full bowl. Also, babies don't have a good chewing rhythm when they eat because their teeth are not sound. Therefore, when they are hungry, they always seem to eat very fiercely. Even if adults feed them slowly, babies will cry. This gives adults the impression that the baby is hungry and needs to be fed quickly, so they feed him one bite after another almost without stopping, and the baby accepts all the food and swallows it directly. Eat a lot and eat fast. It would be strange if you don't have food accumulation. On the other hand, the adults were still gloating over the fact that their babies could eat a full bowl of food. However, the babies soon started to feel uncomfortable. Coughing, bad breath, and dry stools are mild symptoms. Severe cases may cause abdominal distension, diarrhea, and fever. Many parents don't understand why indigestion can easily cause babies to cough or even catch a cold and have a fever. This is because the large intestine and the lungs are mutually internal and external. If food accumulates and internal heat occurs in the large intestine, it will affect the descending of lung qi, which will naturally cause constant coughing. In fact, the older generation who have some experience in this situation will boil white radish for the baby to drink when they see this situation. This is also the experience of the older generation. From the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, indigestion cold is neither wind cold nor wind heat. The causative factor of indigestion cold is improper diet among the internal injury factor, while wind cold and wind heat are exogenous pathogenic factors. Wind cold is exogenous wind and cold evil, while wind heat is exogenous wind and heat evil. Improper diet damages the body's qi, blood, yin and yang, leading to indigestion and colds. The effect of white radish soup is to promote the production of body fluids and quench thirst, resolve phlegm, relieve asthma, and relieve cough. At the same time, it can also play a role in sterilization and disinfection. Drinking it in winter can prevent colds. White radish soup can also enhance the function of the digestive system, has good anti-inflammatory effects, and can enhance the body's immune function. Of course, if the baby is older, about 3 or 4 years old, some older generations will directly induce vomiting. After vomiting out the food in the gastrointestinal tract, the baby's physical discomfort will quickly disappear. Wu Jiantao had listened to the old man's instructions on this issue several times and was very careful to protect the spleen and stomach of the two babies. As for whether the baby will eat too little and not be full, he naturally has a corresponding countermeasure, which is to give the two little ones 5 meals a day, which is actually eating small meals frequently. Rice paste, vegetable and fruit puree, nutritious porridge, rice and flour steamed buns, and other very diverse foods. Wu Jiantao carefully considered each meal and cooked them deliciously. The two little ones also enjoyed the food very much. Sitting in the baby chair, Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao still fed one each. They would feed half a bowl of food first and then stop feeding the rest, letting them flutter around on their own. Bang, bang, bangs. Although the couple had taught them how to eat many times, both Daodu and Mayomia would sometimes scoop up the rice paste to eat, but more often they would just hold the small ladle and knock it around, splashing the rice paste everywhere. Not only did they make a mess of the small dining table in front of them, but also the dirt on their bodies, the ground, and even onto the dining table in front of them. Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao were extremely calm about this. Both little ones had put on bibs for eating in advance, and when they got up in the morning, their beautiful clothes were not stained at all. Although the bibs also needed to be washed, it was not too bad that the clothes were not dirty. After dinner and clearing the table, the two little ones came to the entrance together, each holding a balance bike, and babbled to their parents in words that were difficult to understand. Well, Daodu and Mai Omio are going out to play. Seeing their son and daughter's expectant eyes, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun were both amused and confused. Okay, let's go out for a walk and play Tilda. How about, let's go to Beilu Park in Jiangbin today and take their balance bikes. It will be more fun there. We haven't been there for a while. Wu Jiantao suggested. Okay, Tilda. Chen Jun had no objection. The two of them left as soon as they said they would. They changed their shoes, carried the two little ones' balance bikes, and went out. Well, now they always have clothes, diapers, tissues, mineral water, and many other baby supplies in the trunk of their car, so they don't have to go through the trouble of packing a backpack every time they go out. As for the hot water, Wu Jiantao carried it with him. More than 10 minutes later, the family of 4 arrived at the parking lot outside Jiangbin Egret Park. Glug, glug, glug. When getting off the car, Daodu and Mayomia were dancing with joy, obviously very happy to be able to go out and come to this place. Let's go. Holding the two little ones on the balancing bike, who were about to jump out as soon as they landed on the ground, the couple led them in silence through the gate of the park, which was very busy and crowded with people. As soon as you enter the gate, you will see a very wide square. Towards the river, the square is divided into 2 parts, upper and lower, separated by stairs in the middle. There were people coming and going in the square. There were many elderly people dancing ballroom dance not far ahead, some young teenagers playing skateboards a little further away, and some children learning roller skating with their coaches on the other side. Wow, how awesome. Daodu and Mayomia were so happy watching this that they danced with joy. With the help of their parents, they still managed to sit on the chairs awkwardly and then walked forward with their short legs flapping. For babies who like lively places, parks are their favorite. The two babies almost forgot about their parents and kept paddling their feet, and the balance bike slowly moved forward. Chapter 283 Who Scares Whom? Please subscribe and vote for me, Tilda. Children like crowded and lively places, but adults always like to go to less crowded and spacious places. Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun did not hold the two little ones, but let them ride the balance bikes forward, walking through the bustling square and strolling along the riverside plank road. There used to be people fishing on the plank road, but now there are too many people, including families. There are children playing and laughing here, adults scolding them, and even people walking their dogs here. The noise scared away the fish by the river, and anglers went to other places to fish. Walking on the plank road, you can see the Jiangsu Bridge across the river in the distance. The entire river surface is sparkling, reflecting the clear blue sky. Indistinctly, you can also see some swimming enthusiasts swimming in groups in the middle of the river. Daodu and Mayomio flapped their short legs and rushed forward on the balance bikes. Unfortunately, they were too young. Even if they tried their best, the strength in their legs was still not enough. The balance bikes moved forward slowly. Chen Jun and Wu Jiantao followed slowly behind them to protect them from any accident. Suddenly, a shrill Suona sound came from behind. Wu Jiantao turned his head slightly and saw more than 20 people formed into 2 columns, shouting slogans to the music and running on the plank road. Face the waves with pride. The hot blood is like the red sunlight. The music that came over was, a man should be self-reliant. These people were not young people, but middle-aged men and women in their 40s or 50s. At the front was a middle-aged man who looked very strong, with broad shoulders and long legs. From afar, many people here could feel the enthusiasm of the two teams and looked over, but Wu Jiantao frowned slightly, took a step forward, gently pulled Daodu and Miao, and stood in front of them with one side of his body. "Make way. Please keep an eye on the children." The middle-aged man in the lead was shouting without any politeness. The originally cheerful people on the plank road suddenly became chaotic. Adults picked up their children one after another, and a few young couples quickly held on to their dogs. Roar! Ho! Following the music, the middle-aged man led the people running behind him to roar together. Suddenly, several dogs nearby were frightened, and most of them tucked their tails between their legs. But one of the huskies, perhaps because it was too brave or too stupid, actually pounced forward in the opposite direction and barked at the group of people. Woof woofs, woof woof woof, woohoo. Even though the dog had a muzzle on its mouth, its ferocious barking contained a threatening growl. If the owner hadn't reacted in time and held the idiot back, he would have pounced on it. This sudden scene frightened the team so much that the formation became chaotic. Some people in the front stopped, while those behind continued to sprint forward. There was a commotion in the middle of the team, and several people fell together. The leader in front hurried back to sort out the team members behind him and carefully helped up a pretty woman who had fallen badly. "Are you okay?" "Oh, I'm fine." The woman rubbed her knees, forced a smile, and stood up to sit on a bench beside the plank road. "What's wrong with you?" The leader was furious. He turned to the couple who were still pulling at the husky that was still charging forward and asked, "Can't you take good care of your dog? Is it what happened to you guys?" When the girl in the couple saw that the tour leader came over and cursed without any reason, her eyebrows raised immediately, and she directly retorted, "It's one thing that you played the music so loudly, but you also suddenly yelled and scared my son." "Son?" The team leader looked puzzled for a moment. Then he immediately realized that the girl was probably talking about the husky that they were trying hard to hold on to. "I don't care about whether he's a son or not. Your dog just barked suddenly and scared us. You two must apologize to us and this lady." Pointing at the woman in their team who was sitting on a wooden bench in the park, he spoke righteously in a voice as loud as a bell. "It's rare." The boy in the couple stood up to defend his girlfriend and sneered, "You are the only ones who can bark, but my dog can't. Is this park owned by your family?" "You are." The leader's face suddenly darkened. "What do you mean you can bark at my dog, but I can't? Boy, I advise you to keep your mouth shut." As he spoke, he took a step forward. His nearly 1.9-meter height, coupled with his intimidating muscles, gave off a lot of pressure. The boy on the opposite side, who was protecting his girlfriend, looked to be only about 1.75 meters tall, and he looked okay by every reference, but compared to the middle-aged team leader, he looked very thin. When the people nearby saw that the situation was not right, they quickly dispersed, especially the family with children, who walked away as far as possible. Forget it, forget it." The fellow runners came over to persuade the leader, and the girl in the couple on the opposite side, seeing that her boyfriend was about to suffer, quickly pulled him back and said to him in a low voice, "Forget it, there's nothing to say to this kind of person. You can tell at a glance that he's having fun." The girl here spoke very quietly, and her boyfriend did not show off, but the middle-aged leader a few steps away was no ordinary person, and he keenly heard what she said. The guy's expression, which had been relieved by the team member's persuasion, suddenly became gloomy. He turned around and walked in front of the young couple and said coldly, "Apologize." "What?" The young couple was stunned. Woof 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 roar. This time the husky beside them also changed. The fur on its tail exploded slightly. It did not pounce like before, but instead lowered its body and bared its teeth. I have to say, although this idiot is a fool, he has a very keen sense of danger. "I said apologize." The middle-aged leader narrowed his eyes, and a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. "Huh?" The boy also laughed out of anger. "It was you guys who were wrong in the first place." He ignored his girlfriend's concerns and stood up and raised his chin towards the burly man in front of him. "I won't apologize. What's the matter? You still want to hit me? Come on, whoever is scared is a grandson." This kid is of course very clear that he can't be a match for this obviously well-trained strong man, but at such a young age, how could he be timid? He just goes straight to the fight. Chapter 284, Unusual. Please subscribe and vote tilde. However, this is actually quite silly. Because never provoke a warrior, especially when you don't know his background. Ha 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 boy, if it were 10 years ago, you would be lying on the ground now. The middle-aged leader suddenly laughed, and as he spoke, he stretched out his hand as if to pat the boy in front of him. Just as he was about to fall on the other person's arm, a hand suddenly reached out from the side and grabbed his wrist. The middle-aged leader was stunned at first, then turned to look at the young man who appeared beside him at some point and also looked to be in his 20s. A look of astonishment flashed across his eyes. "You are really nosy," he sneered and was about to say something when he heard the other party calmly said, "If you attack ordinary people, you can't leave." What? Everyone around him didn't understand what he meant by this sentence, but at this moment, a trace of panic flashed in the eyes of the middle-aged man, but he still said calmly, "Who are you? You are so inexplicable. Let go." As he said this, he tried to pull his hand back, but Wu Jiantao held his wrist and didn't move at all. Not good. At this moment, the middle-aged leader finally recognized who the young man in front of him was, but he still forced a smile and said, "Misunderstanding, misunderstanding. I just did something stupid. I didn't really want to mess with him, I just wanted to scare him." Haha, to scare people you need to use hidden power. Ordinary people can't see it, but as a whole force warrior who has developed the existence of hidden force, wouldn't you know how much damage this will cause to the opponent? Wu Jiantao ignored him and took out his cell phone to call the team. "We caught a warrior who attacked ordinary people. Send someone over here." Good. Anything involving warriors is no small matter and requires the deployment of the security team. At this moment, the middle-aged leader was really panicked. Little brother, this is really a misunderstanding. Wu Jiantao narrowed his eyes slightly and took a look at the middle-aged man in front of him. This guy seems to have some serious problems. If it was just what happened just now, this guy would at most be punished for public order. After all, his hidden power was blocked by me and did not succeed. However, once he's taken away by the armed police from the security bureau, they will check everything, including who he has come into contact with over the past period of time, whether anyone around him has suffered any abnormal sudden illness, and whether he may have been injured by the hidden power of martial arts. Judging from his current behavior, it is obvious that this is not the first time he has done such a thing. As soon as he thought of this, Wu Jiantao immediately stared at him vigilantly. The strength in his body instantly became like a bowstring being slowly pulled, ready to explode at any time. At the same time, he waved his hands slightly backwards, asking his wife to take the two babies away. The next moment, the middle-aged man who was still asking for trouble suddenly made a sound like a bowstring breaking in his body. His right hand suddenly broke free from Wu Jiantao's grip. At the same time, his left fist made a sound of air explosion in midair and instantly came to his face. Snort! Wu Jiantao smiled coldly, raised his knee to block the opponent's cold kick from below, and at the same time raised his left hand upwards to block the opponent's punch. At this moment, the middle-aged man, who thought he had broken free, suddenly turned around and was about to pounce into the river. "Well, as long as I jump into the river, I can walk a long way along the river with my own strength. I can find a small supermarket on the way to get some food and clothes. There is still a chance." His thoughts were interrupted here because he found that his body stayed in the same place and couldn't move forward at all. At this moment, he realized that not only did his left fist fail to achieve any effect, but it was also tightly held by the opponent. Impossible. The middle-aged leader couldn't believe it at all. He kept bursting out his internal strength and kicking his hands and feet, but this was nothing to Wu Jiantao. He just did it casually. Even these hand and foot exercises were not even considered warm-up. In the end, he could only stand there in despair. 10 minutes later, 2 members of the Tiger Roar squad of the F-City Police Department showed up and took the guy away. Well, judging from his performance just now, he must have committed a serious crime and must be severely investigated. When taking this guy away, the 2 teammates also took a statement from Wu Jiantao. After this little episode, Wu Jiantao and Chen Jun continued to play in the park with the 2 little ones. On the way, many martial arts fans recognized him and ran up to him to ask for his autograph. Fortunately, he is only a little famous now and has not yet completely gone viral. Otherwise, he would have to wear a mask when going out today and try not to be recognized. Most of those who came to Wu Jiantao for autographs were teenagers, while those who were older were either couples or families, and they were long past the age of chasing stars. "Come on, we are all looking forward to you making it to the round-robin tournament. Come on, we will definitely support you." These teenagers left their words of encouragement and left happily with their autographs. Fortunately, Wu Jiantao did not participate in any media promotional activities from the beginning, nor was he invited to participate in some TV programs that were under the name of martial arts, but were actually in the entertainment industry. Otherwise, there would be so many people coming that he would not be able to go out and play normally. What's more, the people born in the 2010s are no longer as crazy about chasing stars as those born in the 1990s and 2000s. They are more rational and peaceful. Of course, this is mainly because the fan culture in the past few years was really outrageous, and it was only after the Chinese authorities took real action to crack down on it that things returned to normal. Before we knew it, the sun was getting higher and higher, and even though there were dense trees on both sides of the road in the park, the air was gradually getting hotter. It's almost 10 o'clock. Daudu Mio Mio tilde let's go back tilde. After playing for more than an hour and a half, the two little guys were tired. They had poor balance and were lying in their dad and mom's arms very obediently. Although the little Daudu in his arms was still very energetic and looked around curiously at the surrounding scenery and people, Wu Jiantao said with certainty, "Ha, it looks like he is exhausted. He may fall asleep in the car later." Tilde. Chen Jun pursed her lips and smiled. On the way back, as soon as the car started moving, during the smooth driving process, the two little guys yawned a few times and fell asleep in less than 5 minutes tilde. The couple looked at each other and laughed at the same time. "Ah, you're the cutest when you're asleep." Chen Jun couldn't help but complain. No wonder so many young people don't want to have children nowadays. In addition to the pressure of life, I'm afraid it's also partly because babies nowadays are really difficult to raise. Chapter 285 Mother-in-Law and Daughter.